What up, what up, what up? It's Birds of a Feather on A2D Radio, live from the Real Talk Studios. The first half brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com, and by Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC. Find them in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Well, it's me and Tommy Boy again. We were on AM and the PM last week with Birds of Feather out, and now he joins me today.
A lot of substitutes.
What's up? A lot of substitutes. You know what's going around? It's this sickness. I got it first.
Don't even bring it up.
And now it's hit Chrome. So he's not here today, but he will be calling in the second half. So you know you want to hear what good old heel Chrome has to say about the games this past weekend. We got a lot to talk about, as always, because, ladies and gentlemen, the Eagles are still alive. That is right. One more week, we are still in this thing. As usual, we got also the bro, Ryan Broda. What's up, man?
What's up?
It's been a long time. It feels like a while. Our last show was, 3 weeks ago?
It was last year.
It was last year. And we were talking about, oh my gosh, are the Eagles going to be playing when we have our next show? And they are. They absolutely are. Well, our poll question, let's talk about that. This Eagles winning streak that they're on right now, what do you attribute it to the most? Would you say it's the coaching, the overall improved team play, or is it just the inexplicable higher power or God? Is that the only real explanation here? Our poll question is brought to you by Scanzano Sports. So, Tommy, let's go to you. What do you, before we dive into the game, what do you think is the biggest explanation for the success that we're having right now?
It's tough, right? I mean, there is the two options. The main ones are, you can say 1A, 1B. And then you go higher power C if I'm ranking, right? So I don't have a clear cut one out of the two, but it's obviously gun to the head, and I'm going to say it's a combo of coaching and guys stepping up and playing football. So it's a combo of two, but I'll go with coaching for keeping the belief, because it's easy to lose locker rooms in the NFL. You see a lot of guys do it. A lot of guys lose jobs. Guys lose jobs quick. Some guys are 2-3 year guys. Some guys get a little longer leash. But the guys lose jobs in this league because they don't get it done, or guys in that locker room don't believe in them, right? So it's all about, to me, it's been all about Doug Peterson since the hire. It always has been. Since last year before the season started, where he said, hey, this roster has the same amount of talent that we had in Green Bay, if not more, right? And everybody was up in arms. How can you say that? How can you say that? Well, that roster went and won a Super Bowl. Make sense? So that guy gave belief in his players. And I think these guys fight for him. I truly believe it. I truly believe it.
Yep.
And I think that he was able to keep this locker room, and he has a core group of veterans that have, veteran player meetings and stuff like that I understand that goes on in there. So them guys as a whole help keep the locker room believing. And now look where we're at. Look where we're at. I don't know what to say. It's amazing that we're this far. 4 or 5 weeks ago, we were dead. We were done. There was no shot. After that Dallas loss, I sat here and said, we're done. I don't think we're going to LA and beating them. It's over. How do you get back up? The resiliency, and it starts at the top. It starts with your head coach. So I'll go with coaching as a whole. I think Jim defensively has done a lot of good stuff. I still don't think he's scheming enough. I want my 4 guys rushing up front to be stunting all day. I want guys moving, right? I don't want them okay, I'm going to bring 4 and you know who you're blocking. But I still think he's done a great job of simplifying things for the younger guys, and then obviously they step up and make plays. So I'll go coaching.
I'm going to go coaching as well, and I will say that the other two, to some extent, do I believe that God or a higher power is playing a part? I don't know. It's a complicated question depending on what your beliefs are. I'm a very religious guy. I believe in God. I pray, but that's besides the point, because I think that in the end, God doesn't favor in terms of sports, but I think that when you have a leader like Foles and a leader like Wentz on the sideline who are they're big believers in that's part of what gets them to believe that they can do what they do. So I think on those lines, that does play a factor. Now, the improved overall team play is definitely a factor as well. Everyone is stepping up and playing better.
Oh,
absolutely.
That's what I said. That's a 1A, 1B, however way you want to play it today.
Exactly.
Like I said, I'll just start up top and work my way down. Because if it wasn't great coaching and keeping these guys, focused and still having a goal in hand, regardless if you're going to an LA game and you're just trying to spoil shit, and then next thing you know, you're still in the race, right? Yeah. So anyway you want to go about it, he kept him going, and through everything that's happened this year, it's amazing, right? I mean, think about it, guys. He went through all the questions about Carson. Carson comes back, then Carson goes down again, and he's getting blitzed with all that. And this guy's able to shed it off, shed off blockers, and continue just to focus on winning football games.
Absolutely.
That's hard to do, man. It's hard to do in this town. It's hard to do anywhere.
It is.
Listen, like I said, this season is a success any way you want to slice it. It's a success, but like I said, 1A, 1B, and the team play, like everybody as a man stepped up. Every player played better. You got backup corners in. Avante looks great. Rasul hits everything. LeBlanc's, essentially all over the field at times. A guy just stepping up. And you talk about the next man up. The fact that carried over again and you got to this point is flat out freaking amazing.
Yeah. I'm going to read a quote by Louis Riddick that he tweeted out today. He said...
Hold on. Is he back on board?
Who? Louis Riddick? I don't know if you want to say back on board, but it goes into coaching. He's saying, quote unquote, looking for the next McVay, unquote, is a thing, while Doug Peterson goes from being called the worst head coaching candidate ever to winning a Super Bowl to crushing Sean McVay's team just recently to winning another playoff game. Yeah, quote unquote, copycat league. So he's pretty much saying, like, everyone wants to find the next Sean McVay, but
where's the next Doug Peterson?
Where's the next Doug Peterson? Why is Doug Peterson not getting the credit he deserves from national media? And I think that's why I go. I think
that guy's in Chicago, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that Doug
he did a wonderful job.
I love Nagy. I think he's a smart guy. And when they get a couple more pieces, and they weren't, defensively, there's no excuses. But Eddie Jackson kills them. You don't have Eddie Jackson playing, and that's tough. But I think that's a guy who's like a Peterson mold. Yes. Obviously, same trade.
Been
around each other forever. They're
exactly.
good friends.
Exactly. So I'm going to go with coaching because I think what happened was after that Cowboys loss, that was devastating. Absolutely devastating. I know the low point was the Saints, but you're talking about we were on what we thought were our last legs in that Cowboys game. And
coming in a 2-game winning streak, going into that football game,
we thought
too.
That was...
You got a little belief back.
Exactly. So I think after that game, to what you said, keeping those guys focused was huge. But not only that, too, but to add, he, again, and for the millionth time, he simplified the play calling. He went back and he looked at himself and said, okay, we got to get back to basics. And he said, regardless of whether it was Foles or Wentz, he was going to look at himself and readjust the play calling. And with Foles in there, he knows what Foles' strengths are. Foles is a quick read. I'm going to make one read off here, and depending on what the linebacker or the safety does, I'm going to make that read and throw it to that guy.
And he has to.
Execute, and he has to.
And he has to because he doesn't have the ability, he can move a tiny bit, but he doesn't have the ability, of Carson and other guys, or just the ability to really escape pockets consistently.
So you take what Foles does well, and you have a coach who says, I'm going to put him in the best situation to succeed. And he's absolutely doing it. Foles is executing this offense, this version of the offense, to such a high degree. And so
you're making things easier on everybody.
Exactly.
You're making things easier on your offensive line.
Exactly.
And you're sort of making things easier on your wideouts, too.
Exactly. Because it's a ripple effect. You do that. One, we talked about how all these dynamic pass rushers that we face off against, Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt,
David Clowney. In too.
Now we just had Khalil Mack. They had no sacks on us. Why? Because a large part was because of the offensive line and also because of the scheme, because we're getting out quick. So it's a ripple effect. You have protection for the quarterback. You start to have guys who are in this kind of system, you're putting the ball in the hands of your playmakers in skill positions quicker for them to make plays.
And I'm not a 50-50 run guy. I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm not a belief in that. That's not how I operate in this league. You got to be able to throw the ball to win. Okay, but the fact that they not that they didn't run the ball with Carson, but even seeing the Chicago game, like you couldn't run worth shit against Chicago. Okay,
They
you
stuck
weren't
with it.
Yeah, Hicks was beating you up front.
Yeah.
You just weren't winning that one. But they just kept just pounding it at times, and they never went away from it. And I think that's the important thing of coaching and saying, you know what, let's get downhill a little bit. We got all these great pass rushers. Let's hit them in the mouth a little bit. Okay, we get 2 yards, whatever. We'll get 2 yards. As long as we're in the positive in yards here, whatever. But at least we get them going backwards a little bit.
Yes.
And they can't just continue to tee off, especially when you have Nick. And I think the opposite is when he has Carson, and he wasn't Carson 2017 agility-wise, is that now he's not going to extend plays like he was able to the year before because he's still coming back, and that takes time. So, you know what I mean? So now you get the ripple effect of that where, okay, you're not running the football as much. Now you're getting pressure on your quarterback. And whatever you want to say goes from there. I mean, I just think our offense was inconsistent with Carson. I wouldn't say it was bad. You know, there was flashes in the second halves of games where they would light you up.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just think Doug, like you said, went back, reevaluated, and all the coaches did. But the big one is Jim. The big one's the defense.
That's what I was. Yeah, because I was going to go right into that because on the back end,
fam, I see you all chiming in.
We're going to get right
to you.
But like, it's not only Doug; it's on the defensive side with Jim Schwartz. I killed him for not having the awareness of knowing who's on the field and knowing what their strengths are. But it looks like he's. I don't want to say he's listened to me, but it looks like he's gone and done the opposite of that in the last few weeks and saying, okay, I know who I have on the field. Let me adjust my scheme and call more plays that are more friendly to who I have on the field. And it goes from simplifying play calls on the back end for the younger players to putting the guys in the position to do what they do best. Avonte Maddox, he's a stick you guy. He will stick. He will stay he will shadow the wide receiver. He'll stay in phase with them throughout the whole route. So what does he do? He makes sure that Avonte Maddox can do that. And then what does he do with Rasul Douglas? He makes sure Rasul Douglas can go downhill. He makes sure Rasul can be who he is. And like it's
my only issue with him is he doesn't blitz enough. Okay, I mean you got to be able to bring extra guys in this league. If you're not stunting a ton up front, you have to at times bring extra guys. And the issue I have with him is even if it's the fifth guy, there's too much 4-man rush like we were talking about when we first came on. Hand in the dirt, no stunt, and the guy, offensive lineman, knows, okay, I got this guy. The hardest thing for an offensive line is bringing extra and stunt. Now, you're not going to stunt every play, but you got to mix it up. And I don't see it enough. You can go back and watch the game all you want. It's not there. Now you're really relying on great players to get after the quarterback every time. And it happens at times. And my point is these linemen have stepped up and beat the man up front from them. More so than his game plan has switched from his front 7. I believe his game plan has switched to his back guys, like you were talking about. Definitely. He's definitely simplified things in the back end. The front end, nothing's changed. They're just getting it done now. But I need to see. You got to hit this guy early this week. You can't wait to hit him, or he's going to start lighting you up. He hasn't played that well. So get it. Listen, if you get off to a good start and just pound him a little bit early, you're in good shape.
I think
you are, but if you don't do it with your front 4, you got to be able to adjust and say, you know what? In this situation, I got to bring 5. I got to bring 6.
What I will counter to that, and it's something that me and Ryan have been saying, is when it comes to his blitzing, the reason why I'm against his blitzing is because it's so vanilla and predictable. Because you know who's coming. So if you're going to blitz, if you're Jim Schwartz and you're going to blitz, which I'm not against.
Well, you're playing right into my hand.
If he can learn how to disguise it more, then I'm all for blitzing.
Listen, a kindergartner can go up. A kindergartner can go up and say, "Okay, I'm going to show 7 and bring 5." A kindergarten can go up and say, I'm going to bring 6. I'm going to show 6 and bring 5. I'm going to show 7 and bring 6.
But he hasn't done that. That's my point.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem is that he's too predictable.
Yep.
And that's where it is because if he's bringing 7, like you said, how many times has the quarterback gone, okay, I have one-on-one on the outside. I'm just going to chuck it up. And how many times has it worked? Almost every single time.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in show. Yep, I'm a big believer in show. He did it a couple times Sunday where he showed and backed out. So, but again, you can do it more, especially against a young guy like Mitchell. Now, they did a great job of handling him. But my point is, against a young kid like that, I want to disguise as much as I can.
Exactly.
Especially with my front 7.
The last time I saw him blitz a lot was against Blake Bortles because he knows what Blake Bortles is.
Yep.
He knows that Blake Bortles is horrible. Like, to say it in layman's terms, he's horrible.
Well, some guys
So
look
he's
at the
going to
guys
be-
coming and they don't look downfield, and that's like
exactly,
a break. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why he did it. So, I mean, I would love to see more blitzes as long as they're disguised. So let's go to the Facebook. I always say the, because I think it's I got used to saying the YouTube. Now I'm calling Facebook the Facebook. Jake.
Zuck, sorry. We are sorry.
Don't get mad.
Jake Fear says, "What up, fam?"
What up, Jake?
James Wilder, he says, "Been a minute, but birds with feather, F locked together. Let's go."
I love him.
Mark Monique says, "What's up, fam from Chicago? Go Birds."
What up,
What's
Mark?
up, man? Josh says, "Yo, what's up?" Mark
Josh
says,
is another guy. I think he's in town now, but Josh is the guy who works on cruise ships and sent
you
sent the video coming all the way,
That's
all the
awesome.
miles. Oh,
Yep.
"Thanks for tuning in, Josh."
yeah. And they won, and we're doing it fucking again. Let's go.
He also says, "I'm ready to sub in."
Just come in and
Just tag it. John Skeel says the trenches on both sides. Mark Monique says hell O-line too, so he agrees. James says two factors I think of as O-line and then defense waking up. Took a while to mount and get through major injuries. Vespi says defense stepped up big time. Brodo says overall team play. Thank you, Brodo.
Hey.
Let's see. Vespi says Avante had a great game despite the fourth quarter. He's definitely stepped up over the course of the season.
that's good coaching by Nagy. You got a guy biting on all the routes early
So
on in
then
the
he
game
says,
and making plays and said, you know what, let's
double
test
move.
him. Let's
Yeah.
see if he bites on a double move, and he did.
And he did.
And guess what? It's a good thing when that happens to you, and you get out with a dub, right? Because now you can
Now you learn from it.
relax, go back to the drawing board, see some things, some fundamentals, and get back to it.
Yeah, there are a lot of people going after Maddox, and I started to get really testy because I'm like, okay, he had, okay, yeah, newsflash, I got testy. But he had, he gave up the touchdown, and he had another long pass where he gave up. But to crucify the guy for those two plays when the whole game he was playing like very, very well. The whole secondary was like you have LeBlanc and Rasul Douglas.
Just catch the football. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah,
guys
you catch
to do.
the football,
You guys
yeah.
are making plays. You're right there. Just catch
You're
football.
right, this guy's and you know what? He will. I honestly believe he will come up
Avante?
with, Avante will.
Yeah.
Absolutely will. But people were crucifying him just off of those two plays, and I'm like, have you not seen what the guy's been doing? He's been all over the ball. He's been all over every single play. He's smart. He's our best man-to-man cover guy. So just ease up. Like he let two bad plays go, but don't go crucifying the kid when he's been one of the reasons why the defense has been playing so well. Chromiak says, "My guys, I'm quarantined and ready to have some hashtag double-doinked talk in the second half."
I'm scared to even have you call in and breathe through the phone.
Electronic germs, right? Charlie DeMuro. The Saints think we can run on them. They seem to forget they are not the Bears. Wayne.
Not many are.
Yeah, not many are. Wayne Anthony Thompson says we're going to go after Eli Apple. Need to shut down Ingram and Kamara and jam Thomas on the line. NASCAR package on defense.
Yeah, listen, I mean, you talk about Breeze. I think his splits over his last, since they played us or something, he's like 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. They haven't played that well. Defensively, they've gotten it done. But offensively, they haven't been scoring like they did through that 3-4 week stretch. So you're actually getting them, if you want to say a good time, you're getting them at a good time. And I truly believe if you can create some, you got to go in. It's one of them jobs, and we'll talk about it, but it's one of them jobs. You got to go in early and get points early. You can't get down. You got to let them play from behind.
Yep.
Make them one-dimensional, throw the football, paint ears, and let's go eat.
Yep. All right, so on the YouTube, we got Bryce Blackwell saying, "Yo, what's up? What's up, Tom?"
What's up, Bryce?
Roscoe says Ryan Brodo, John Cena entering the Royal Rumble.
I don't have anything for you, Roscoe.
Yeah.
Well, Bahama Eagles here over on the book. Wayne Thompson from the Bahamas.
Ooh.
What's up, Wayne? Let's go. Back-to-back talk.
Oh, boy. Bird Gang says a combination of everything when talking about our pro question.
Yeah, I think that's
exactly. Khalid says, "Sup, fellas, I'm so pumped. Hashtag Fly Eagles Fly. If we beat the Saints, we're going back-to-back, mark my word." And then Two Gun Tommy says, "Tate trade was worth it in one game."
I think it's already happening. They're saying if we beat the Saints. I said if we beat Chicago, we're beating the Saints because then it's just all bets are off now. We talked about it on Sunday. If we win this game, and Wilson's like, don't look ahead. I said, listen, I'm just telling you, if we win, we're going to beating the Saints Because now we're on a roll, and now it's big time belief that, oh shit, we're doing the same. Like, you know what I mean? Once these guys, it's a mental game. Once these guys get in their head that this is happening again, and you start believing, then you start making plays. You ever hear your coach ever tell you, hey, visualize making plays? Visualize making big plays? Well, if you're visualizing holding a trophy again, you're probably going to make some big plays. My belief went way up in this football team. That's a tough place to go play on the road, and to get out of there with a win the way it went. Oh, man. It's crazy. It's nuts.
When you turn the ball over twice and have that many missed opportunities and make that many mistakes, and you still come out on a win.
Like, I was wrong Sunday morning.
Oh, my God.
I said if they turn the football over and lose a turnover battle, they're going to lose this football game.
Historically, that's the case.
Yeah.
What were the numbers again when a road team has lost a turnover battle? The record is 4 and 100 or something like
4
that.
and 81
Yeah,
or something
like,
ridiculous.
wild.
It's something ridiculous because turnovers are the biggest stat in football.
Yep.
So when you turn over twice on the road, that's a huge hole to come out of. And
It's easy. It's easy. You don't have to go look at a box score. Just go to the turnovers.
That's
and
the
say,
first-
okay, time possession and turnover, and say, okay, they probably lost or won.
That when you go to a box score, that should be definitely the first thing you look at is the turnover battle.
But that's something they couldn't do, and they got away with. And then you get away with something like that. Like I said to you guys before we came on, and I think I did a video about it. Like, you can sort of tell us the score and say the Saints win. I'm still taking the Eagles. Like, I can't bet against this team anymore.
I can't.
It's just I'd be an idiot too, and I know people out there don't believe it. But listen, we can lose. It's the NFL. But I just got a weird feeling about this one.
Yeah.
Weird feeling.
We can compete with any team in the league. I wholeheartedly believe that. The way we're playing, we can compete with any team in the league. And it's not to say that there's no way we can lose because what you said, anything can happen. So absolutely, all it takes is one play, one big mistake for us to lose a game. But what I'm saying is, at this point, it's hard. If you're an Eagles fan, it's hard not to believe.
Yeah.
No matter.
I don't blame anybody for yelling and running the broad. I blame nobody right now. I don't blame you if you're booking a hotel room. I don't blame you if you're looking for Super Bowl tickets already and just trying to find prices. You know what I mean? Just shopping. Okay, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
You should right now. The guy Jesse Nichols was like, Tom, that's silly to say that you'll see everybody on broad. No, it's not. No, it's not, because if I don't believe in my team, what's the point of cheering? Like, if I can't buy into what's going on here and say, no, this is 2 years in a row now that this team's just unbelievable on how the next guy's in, just come in and make plays. It's like I never seen nothing like it.
Haters like Jesse were saying the same thing last year when they were saying, "Oh, it's stupid for you to
one and done." Remember them guys?
Yeah, we're one and done. I booked my days off from work back in December, like after the no, I lied. I booked the day off after the Super Bowl before the Wentz injury. After the Wentz injury, I booked my days off from work even after that because I believed. So don't tell me that, like, you can't believe in something. If you honestly believe in it, go do it. Like, I mean, not go do it, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with having, like, especially when we're playing like this. There's nothing wrong with having belief that we can get there.
No, Wayne Thompson on Facebook says Foles redeemed himself for the 2013 playoff loss. I think he's going to. And Greg chiming in. What up, Greg? What's up, fellas? For me, it's the defense, even with all the injuries, especially the back half. They're competing, even if they get beat, but competing. That's a huge part of it. And that front four finally arrived and became that front four again. And I think what plays right into what Greg's saying is, I always talk about it, I need my corners that can tackle. You got to be able to tackle in open space, come up and get your beak wet. And all three of them, Sullivan hits everything that moves. and Rasul's a damn good tackler. So you got to tackle well Sunday, again, because that's a team that can make you miss and have explosive plays. So it's real important for them to tackle well. Charlie DeMiro says, isn't that thing really stupid? Yeah, stupid. Stupid. I hope to go to locker rooms with ski mask on again.
Yeah. On YouTube, we have a Cowboys fan who's been chiming in, and he goes, I find this very interesting because he goes, the Bears are trash.
Now they're trash.
Well, now they're trash. Now, like a week from today, it was all the Cowboys fans saying there's no way you're beating the Bears. The Bears defense is going to kill us and everything. And then now the Bears are trash.
Worst fan base in sports. You want to tell me Mitchell's trash? I'll buy right into that one. Okay. Hi. hi, I'm on that Mitchell trash train. But you want to tell me that team as a whole, talent-wise, is trash? You're fucking high, dude. Like you're out of your mind.
They're just looking for.
It's a shame. It's a shame that you don't watch other sports and really give us your insight. Because offensively, they got guys who can make plays. I don't believe in Mitchell, but if you tell me that like they're trash, what's trash, man? Like teams that make the playoffs to me that are 12-4 aren't trash.
Yeah.
You just got beat by a better team.
Yeah.
And that just means we're good. Like we're going to sit here and tell you the Cowboys are going to NFC title game and we're going to see them there. Okay, that's what I'm trying to tell you, family. If you want to listen to it, that's what's going to happen. So we're giving the boys love.
Yeah,
so
we're saying they're going to. Yeah.
So grow up, Peter Pan. Have a little respect back to us.
Yeah.
You know, be unbiased for a minute and just say, you know what you guys are doing is just wild. What you guys have been done over the last 2 years.
Nah, they don't want to give us that credit.
Nope,
They never do.
Because sports fans, that's how we operate. That's how we talk. Like, I'm not going to throw punches at somebody over a sports conversation. It might get heated, but at the end of the day, it's A2D.
Yeah.
But you can still respect it. Like their offensive line back in the day, like 2 years ago. I was saying, dude, when they won the division, that's the best offensive line in football.
That's the best offensive line.
We all
absolutely.
Everybody said it.
Even today, I say I don't put two things around it. I say Zeke is an elite running back, one of the best running backs ever since his rookie year. I never doubted
your
that.
quarterback's just a average to below average guy.
Yes.
What else do you want me to say?
Who has the
ability to make plays?
He has the ability to make plays and come up big in certain crunch time, and that's I'm being realistic here.
But I'll be realistic about something too. We're beating them to go to the bowl, and then what are you going to say then? You're going to go with the narrative. Dallas stinks. Are we going there?
They'll look
asking for a fan base.
They'll look, just asking for myself.
Now your team stinks.
Yeah,
that's why. Okay.
Would you guys agree, by the way, that out of all the teams remaining in the playoffs, the Cowboys probably have the best defense? Now that the Ravens and the Bears are both out.
Yeah. No. I'm not fully there. The Chargers are better. The Chargers are better to me as a whole. They got better.
They've got
Derwin
it's
James.
close.
Derwin James is a flat out pimp, and you go to their corners. You already know about Hayward, and then when you have Bosa and Ingram, you're better.
Legit.
You're better. That's all because you went up front and you saw it. You know they were all Jackson stinks, but they were all over.
Who's the coordinator? Gus? Isn't it Gus?
Who? Which for the
Chargers?
The defensive coordinator?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Gus.
You could be right. I forget who it was.
But I think it's close between all three of us. You know what I mean? Like Chargers, Eagles, Cowboys.
The way we've been playing, we are right there,
The
too.
way we've been playing,
So there's three of them that in any way you want to rank them, I'm not going to completely disagree with it.
Yeah, the Patriots, I don't think their defense is anything. I honestly think the Patriots lose this weekend, but we'll get into that a little later on the show. But yeah, I'd say those three. I won't even rank them. I'll just say the legit defenses: Cowboys, Chargers, Eagles that are left in the thing.
It is Gus.
It's Gus Bradley.
Doug Zeke chiming in. What up, Zeker?
What's up, Doug?
What up, Doug?
Yo, my brothers. Different team, different time. 31-28 Birds. It's happening again, and I love the believing. Wayne Thompson, we're going to beat the Rams again. Wayne, don't even worry about it. We're going to see the Cowboys and whoop that ass because they ain't beating us 3 times in a year. They can, but they're not. Bill Middlebrook says, yes, it was 48-7 last time, but there was 3 interceptions. Take those points away. Give them to us now. Now it's closer, right? And we're playing better. 33-30, Eagles. Let's go, Bill. Kyle Mears said, yup, the Cowboys are the best remaining defense easily. I wouldn't say easily. I would say there's 3. If you say they're like that much, if you're going to go down easily, so they're that much better than the Chargers defense, then you haven't watched enough Chargers football, baby.
The Cowboys?
You haven't watched enough fucking Chargers football. Watch some football. Dude, just go Google the roster for a minute.
Don't even start with Kyle telling Kyle to watch football.
I'm telling him what to do. I didn't tell him to watch it. I told him to go Google a fucking depth chart. Even worse. Just go Google a depth chart, Kyle.
Kyle and watching football is like that's like an oxymoron.
Colts versus Eagles, Charlie DeMoro says.
I was going to say,
we're going to get beat by the genius?
What I was going to say, the Cowboys defense is good, but it's not like they're unbeatable. Do you remember what the Colts did to that defense just a few weeks ago? So people
want to act like they're the 85 Bears.
Do you remember what Carson Wentz and our offense did to them in the second half of that second game?
Let's not walk around. Yeah, don't walk around like the Cowboys are the 85 goddamn Bears.
Yeah, they're not. They're beatable. They're good. They're very, very good.
Very good.
But they're not unbeatable. There's no defense left. There's no defense this season that has been like a 2000 Ravens.
Well, who could
or
be the most
2000
suffocating? There's to me, there's two because I gotta look up front. I gotta put the Cowboys third, honestly, if you're gonna ask me, because I gotta look up front. So who can suffocate the quarterback this time of year? Not that Dallas can't, because they can, but who's got big time players up front for them? DeMarcus Lawrence, pimp, right? Yeah. Pimp, no question
Legit.
about it. Okay, but now I go to Philly. I go to Cox, Bennett, Graham, right there. That's better. That's better than what you got up front. That they can dominate and suffocate a quarterback. Yeah. I go to the Chargers. I go Bosa and Ingram. They can suffocate a quarterback. What wins in the postseason? We saw it. We have the blueprint. You win up front, but you really win if you can go smack a quarterback in the mouth a bunch. It's over. Like if the Saints come in and smack us in the mouth, it's a wrap. You got to be able to protect, and you got to be able to go get.
Yep.
And so to me, the Cowboys are third at go getting. To go after to get to the quarterback consistently. We're one because it's on paper we're one. Nobody puts more pressure on the quarterback than we do. So
what the Cowboys have,
what
the Cowboys have, I think over our defense and the Chargers defense is that if you're talking about all three levels, they're the most sound at all three levels combined overall.
They have the best linebacking core.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But they don't have the best secondary. Because I'm going to give
that
to the Chargers.
That's where I'm saying it's good enough where on all three levels together. So underrated
back there. The Chargers.
No. I hear you.
Just talking.
Chargers have the better secondary.
I sort of found it out this year. You know what I mean? Like watching them, like wow, man, they got some players.
They're legit.
Like when I realized again they had Derwin James and I see him smacking people in the mouth.
Can you believe Derwin James fell to them? Like what are people thinking? Derwin James fell. He was right there with Minkah Fitzpatrick in my rankings. The fact that he fell that far, oh my God.
He's been around me too long. Yeah. Sorry. He's just been around me too long. But I haven't missed on a D-back in 20 years.
It's like 3 months early. Yep. Usually you have to wait until like around the draft.
You usually have to wait until the draft. I'll just put it out there. I don't miss on D-backs.
Draft preview. I knew it was coming before you even said it.
I like Minkah too, but you're right. I mean, he fell on their lap, Chucks, and when you get that kind of production out of a young kid like that, it's huge. And I truly believe that their front four, because of them two, I look at any grown man that doesn't wear gloves, and I just say he don't give a shit. I'm scared of that man. And Melvin Ingram's that man to me. Like, don't wear gloves. You use tape. Like, if I go against a guy, he's just got tape. I'm like, geez, it's chilly. Like, this guy don't care about nothing.
Well, it's like the Michael Bennett thing with the shoulder pads. It's like, oh, okay.
I got to go against this guy? Like, you're just mentally fucked. He just got up in you, jumped around a little bit, and you're like, what's going on? Oh, my God, no gloves? Oh, my God. This guy's going to beat me up all day. He don't care about his body. He's going to rip me apart.
He doesn't care about his body. He cares about mine.
You don't need no accessories. You don't need no
ruthless aggression.
But no, it's a great question though, because they're the three best remaining, and we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out who's the best.
Yep. So before we move on to previewing the matchup officially, game ball. Who would you give your game ball to?
Last week
against the Bears, yes.
Can I go offense and defense game ball?
Yeah.
I love double dips.
Yeah. Double doinks.
Double
doinks.
For a second when that hit, I was like, did that fall back?
That's what I did.
Did that fall back?
That's what I did. It was such a delayed reaction.
Yeah, and I'm like, why are they not giving me this or this? What are they doing? Can I get to this?
It felt like the kick was like 30 seconds long.
You know what it was? After it hit
the
upright and it bounced, like I wasn't logically, you would be like, follow the ball. When you see, because the ball fell forward and hit the grass in front of it, right? So logically, you'd be like, okay, if once you see that ball fall forward, you're like, oh, okay. But no, that wasn't me. After that ball hit the post, I was staring straight at the referee.
Yep.
And it felt like 10 years for the referee to go like this.
I got a little gray over it.
What did you guys do? Did you guys go crazy when you saw it?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
See, I have video of it. I literally just fell on the ground. I have it on video. I literally fell on the ground.
I like, for the first time, like I was up off like that. I was like this. Right, because once they called timeout and made the first one, then it really gave me some belief.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I got a feeling he's going to miss this, because the way I looked at it, he almost didn't make that. He almost didn't reach that. So now I'm thinking in my head, now he's thinking he's got to get more on it, maybe a little shank to the left. And then obviously when the finger, I didn't know the finger got on it, but when he missed it, I just started yelling like, oh my God! Because like we never get them kind of things. And
we don't.
And you need luck, like Keanu O'Neal last year, off the kneecap.
Yeah.
You get luck, and sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. You heard that a million times. But game balls, offensively, listen, I gotta go with Golden Tate because if you don't make them plays, if you don't make that one big play down the field and get absolutely creamed for it and lit up.
Oh, that was a catch of the day. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So
throw of the day, catch of the day.
because
Go ahead.
no, but it's fine. What's been the conversation? The conversation is, has he been worth a third-round pick? Has he been worth a third-round pick? Ad nauseum, right? Ad nauseum. We answer it all the time on here. Okay. Well, that question's been answered because when a guy helps you win a playoff game in that kind of environment, he came up huge. And I don't even care about the amount of catches. It was the big ones. Okay, and I thought all the wide receivers had a hell of a game, but I'll give it to him just because of the TD is huge, and so I'll go Golden Tate offensively, and it would have been Avante if you don't get double moved and then double moved again, but I still love the kid. It's a tough one.
It's tough.
I'm gonna go. I feel like Nigel was all over the football field.
He was, yeah.
I would go with Bennett. Was a monster.
Well, Bennett's always a monster every week. I think he's a given. I can
give him a game ball weekly.
Weekly game ball goes to Bennett.
Michael Bennett.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Nigel Bradham because I thought he played a real good football game. And when you need your linebackers to be able to play well.
Yep.
Can I throw you a curveball?
Go ahead, go.
What about Jason Peters?
I think he did a hell of a job.
Hell of a job.
I mean, he took Khalil Mack out of the game.
Him and Lane both, because Khalil Mack was moving around. Him and Lane Johnson absolutely did a great job.
Okay,
I mean, they didn't like. There were plays where they lost, and you don't know that they lost the reps, but you don't know that because the ball got out quick. Mm-hmm. But there are absolutely a lot of plays where they did a great job. But for my game balls, I'm going to kind of stick on that line of blocking. I'm going to give my game ball to Dallas Goedert because if you don't realize,
great play call.
If you don't look back, Dallas Goedert was on a monster in the blocking game.
There
was one rep where he was not back. He was blocking Khalil Mack and was not backing down.
You can give him a game ball weekly now on just blocking. Like say, you know what? No matter what, I can give a game ball blocking the Dallas Goedert every week.
Do you guys remember back in draft time? A lot of people wanted the Penn State guy. What was his name? The Penn State tight end that the Dolphins got.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Did people want him because he was like, he's like the best receiver. His receiving skills are crazy. And I said, no. Dallas Goedert, you need a blocking tight end. You need someone who can do both, who can catch and receive. And that's why, or catch and block. That's why Goedert was my number one tight end. And you're seeing now the impact that he's having. Yeah. He is absolutely a monster. And then his touchdown catch, like being able to fight through contact at the top of his route like that.
That was just like the Cowboys one, just on the other side of the field. You know what I mean?
He's going to be, him and Ertz are going to be trouble for the next several years.
He's trouble. He's got Velcro hands.
My God.
He don't drop stuff. And the one thing you can say that, like you talk about Zach Ertz, you talk about Yak, everybody talk about Yak, whatever. He catches a ton of footballs. So I'm not worried about Yak in terms of Zach. Mm-hmm. But the one thing you say about Dallas is he ain't going down easy. Yeah. And there's a lot of yak with him. Do you remember that play call was fucking brilliant.
Oh, I was going to say the fake left, fake right, and then the pop pass.
And then you get him the little pop pass.
Ooh. Not only, and I'll say this, not only was that a great catch because that was low and away, like the ball placement on that was horrible by Foles, but again, it's a quick pass. Dallas grabbing it was great. It was a great catch.
Yep.
But then his ability to spin out of 2 tackles and then get extra yardage.
And get to the first.
To the first down, gigantic.
Mike Rain says game ball to Hester. He deserves it for what he did. Oh, right on, brother.
I won't deny that.
Bill Middlebrook says I agree. I said Dallas. He says Dallas Peters. I think it was his game balls. Mike Rain, says, yep, we already talked about it. He said Hester. Zach Boylan said Tate and Bradham. So he's right with me everywhere. And Zeke's got to let everybody know. Cousin Zeke. Tell him, Tommy, who picked Golden Tate. You did, Zeker. No. You did, brother. And Bill Middlebrook says game balls Dallas and the entire O-line. Nice. I love that.
Yep.
I love that. And what does Wilder say? Chucks. That was me too. I was looking right at the ref. Yeah, brother. We were all ref hunting. We weren't hunting bear anymore. Yeah. We were just hunting refs. What are you doing?
My game balls. I'm gonna go just because we already said Hester. We already said who was it that you just said? For defense.
I said Bradham.
I'm going to go Crevon LeBlanc. Again, like this guy out of nowhere, and then he has a game that he did. That one it was supposed to be a fumble, but it was still a great play by him.
Yeah, regardless.
To be able to yank that ball out, and then just his physicality the whole game. He had one fourth down tackle or tackle on third down where he tackled the guy just short of the sticks in open field. And you're talking about a guy who just signed in the middle of the season.
Well, you remember, right, what we talked about? I don't know if you were on or heard it, but I said when these guys came up, or said we're going to find out who wants to stay on the roster next year.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
You want to play football in this league? Here's your opportunity. And one guy seized it. He absolutely seized it. And he absolutely will be on this roster next year because
100%.
of the way he's played now. Hey, I need you to catch a football again. You got another big opportunity in the red zone to pick them off and really seal a game, and you need to make them plays. But the fact that you're around it shows me you're reading stuff well. So I'll take that and then hope you can get on the job.
Well, I think that was Trey Sullivan that dropped the pass.
Was it
You're talking
Sullivan?
about late second.
I thought it was
second,
LeBlanc.
right?
I thought
I thought it was
LeBlanc.
LeBlanc as well.
The one in the end zone, right?
Yeah,
You're talking about
right before the half.
that was Sullivan.
I think
That was
LeBlanc
Trey
dropped
Sullivan.
one too, didn't he?
He might have dropped another one.
I don't know.
Well, there was
talking
3
about-
opportunities.
Well,
to-
practice squad guys dropped one.
Yeah.
Can't catch.
There's a reason why they play defense.
Yeah.
Eric
Receivers that can't
Lamar
catch.
says, doink,
Doink,
doink.
doink, doink, doink. YouTube, they're just pretty much going off on the Cowboys fan, Shakir.
Well, listen to Mike Rain because I want to answer this. Hope the rest of Adams for this game. Think I only saw him one snap last game. I'll tell you why, Mike. Because he fumbled the football late in the season. He's a young running back. And once you do that, it's hard to trust.
Yep.
And blocking schemes, all that. When you have a guy like Wendell who's been around this offense for 4 years now and knows it inside and out because he's been here, and he's a good pass blocker, and he knows everything, right? And he doesn't really put the ball on the turf. Now he can. Most guys can fumble football, but
Earlier in his career, he had fumbled
but now he's more of a veteran. He understands situational football, right? So Darren Sproles understands situational football. There's nothing against Josh Adams. He's a puppy, and when you have vets, you ride what's working, and we're winning football games. And as a whole, back there, we've been pretty good with the football. You know what I mean? Knock on wood. So, but you know what I'm saying? So that he sort of gets the backseat, and he's got the hip problem, and that became, you know what I mean? That just sort of was more of a reason to be like, okay, just go rest. You know what I mean? Go rest.
Here's the thing with Adams is the fact that, again, it's a matter of certain Eagles fans, and I'm not trying to single out Mike here or anything. I'm not saying that he was saying it, but there were, do you remember weeks ago,
Yes,
Ryan,
sir.
on the show when we went off because a lot of people were trying to say that, Josh Adams is this and that and this and that, and we're just saying, like, pump the brakes. He's no superstar. Like, he is who he is. He's a solid, like, rotational guy.
Well, listen, I'll never say it about a young kid ever. Like, can any kid turn themselves into a damn good football player and an all-pro in this league? Absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and say he can't. I don't think that's who he is. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're asking me, like, who gun to the head, who he is. I think he's an average football player, change of pace guy. But like most of these guys, we've seen a little bit of potential. So, if he's a guy who can stay healthy and get better, you don't know.
Here's
But dude's crowned so
my,
quick.
My point about Adams is that, like, when I broke down his game, what it was one of the things I said, Ryan. I said that he's a downhill runner, but two of his limitations are, one, he's not a power back, and we still how many
too big
short
to be
manage,
one.
how many short yardage runs up the middle with Josh Adams did we see fail? I think out of all running backs in the league, Reuben Frank puts up numerous stats where it shows Josh Adams is one of the worst in the league at short yardage things because he's not a power back. He's a downhill back.
Well,
There's a difference.
It's even a combo, though.
So-
He's not quick enough to hit a hole.
To hit a hole.
In them situations, you got a lot of guys
Absolutely.
up in the box, and you need a guy who can get low in them situations to be able to get
And he
that
doesn't
yard.
get low.
Like the thing,
So-
so he's too big to get low, which
Yeah.
ends up hurting him. So
And
you
it's
talk
not
about
like-
it plays into your point that he's not a power
He's
back.
not a power back.
He's too big to be a power back.
And look at his build. He's tall, but he's not bulky.
No,
he
he
doesn't
doesn't
have tree trunks for legs
No.
or anything. He's
Sproles has
skinny.
more power, essentially.
Exactly.
Smallwood has the most power at any back on the team.
Yes. So you're talking about that, and then what was the other limitation I said? I said with Josh Adams, he is not a good passing down back. He does not know how to block, and he doesn't catch the ball out of the backfield well yet. So in the playoffs, you have to put someone. You have to have guys back there that you can trust, like you said.
Yeah.
And even though Smallwood isn't a great blocker, he still prove himself as a receiver. Sproles is a guy that.
But the thing you gotta give credit for to Wendell though, he's turned himself into a pretty good pass blocker as well because he knows. You know what I mean? He understands
He's
it more.
improved. He's improved.
So, it's just a no-brainer. Like, I'm going to go with the guys who give me the best
that you
chance
can
to
trust.
win.
That's my point.
It's a combo, yeah.
Is that with Sproles and Smallwood, you know that you can put them back there and trust them. Because Smallwood has, for what he is, he's limited. He's also, but you know what he is, and he will run hard. And one of my knocks on Smallwood is that he doesn't force missed tackles in space. That was a knock I had on him last year. He's done that so much better the last few weeks because he's running hard between the tackles.
Don't you love it when you say that about a guy and then he turns it around?
It's one of the greatest things.
And he's like, here, I'm not taking a shot at it. It's what you need to get better at. You know what I mean?
So that goes to his development. Sorry, excuse me. And I think Sproles had the most snaps out of any running back, and it goes to what I said last week.
As he should.
Sproles is the guy. If you're talking about who is going to be your quote-unquote lead back, who is the best guy that the team trusts, the offense trusts, it's Sproles, and for good reason.
You're going to get a heavy dose of Darren this weekend. In my opinion.
The Darren Sproles revenge game.
It's a lot of revenge for a lot of guys.
Yep.
It really is. I'm so jacked up to have another week. And all I'm going to say to you guys, like we say all the time, Rye, I know we said it since back last year. Just give me another week. I said it last week, though. Give me another week, and I'll worry about the next one we get there. Wherever the chips fall, I'll worry about. I'll worry about that matchup if we can win that game. But right now, just give me one more. Just give me one more week. I don't ask for a lot. I really don't. All right? Really stamp it for us that if you just get to an NFC title game, you can't say shit for the fluke people out there. The people want to use that narrative on you, right? You really can't even use it now because you won a playoff game after everything you went through. So there's no Super Bowl hangover. There was a big one, but you put an end to it and you woke up. So now nobody can say shit. But if you keep advancing, that silences critics real.
Yep,
then nobody can say anything. What are the haters going to say if this team goes to another Super Bowl?
Nothing.
You going to have the gusto to come on and take shots? Because I would love to know that guy. Because I might show up in his studio. But you know what I mean? It's one more, boys.
One week at a time.
What do we got next? Saints?
Saints a little preview real quick before we got about like 10 minutes. But Eagles Saints preview. We'll hold off on scores for now, but matchups, keys to the game. What going into this? What do you see as big factors going into it that the Eagles need to do in order to pull off the victory here?
Well, we know this. This isn't cliche. It is a cliche, and everybody says it all the time. But it's up to that front four. It truly is. When you're going into hostile environments like this, on one of the hardest places to play on the road, we know it. It's loud. All right. When you go to places like this, your defense has to come and play. The good ones, I said it before last week, the good ones travel. The good ones play average on the road. The great ones travel. And this football team last week traveled. Now, can you travel again? And can his front four get enough pressure on Drew Brees that knock him off his spots and maybe create a turnover or two? That's the most important part of the matchups I see. And listen, they can get after the quarterback. So can you continue to get the ball out quick, make plays, and get off to a good start early like you did this week, and even if it's a 3-0 lead, get a lead and start believing even more.
Yeah.
And I think that ties in. But, yeah, I mean, our secondary's got to get it done, but they'll get it done if that front four creates the pressure needed to knock Breeze around a little bit, make him uncomfortable in the pocket. And I believe Nigel and guys like that, Jordan Hicks is healthy. So, I mean, I believe that we can sort of contain Kamara a little bit. That's obviously a huge part of it, and they're going to try to hammer you with Ingram. But Breeze hasn't thrown the ball as well as he threw over them 4 weeks when he saw us before. Their offense isn't as explosive as it's been. They've really got it done on the defense side of the football. So, I think that you have to match them defensively big time in this football game. And if you can put the pressure that we put on the last 6 quarterbacks, we're going to win this football game.
What I think, I'm going to go with great points. I'm going to go with twofold on the defensive side, and then I'll go with one-fold on the offensive side. One, Alvin Kamara. Whether it's Jordan Hicks or Nigel Bradham, they're going to need to keep him in check. You're not going to completely stop Kamara. He's an elite running back. He's going to make his plays, but you need to keep him in check as much as you can. He is, to me, in my opinion, the key to this Saints offense. It's not Drew Brees. It's not Michael Thomas. It's Alvin Kamara. Because so many times, Sean Payton will draw up plays where Brees can get it out of his hands quick into open space into the hands of Alvin Kamara, where he can make plays either in the running game or the passing game. He is the key. The number one focus you have to be, the defense has to focus on is Kamara, and that's going to be on the linebackers. They have to be able to tackle him in open space, because if not, he is going to run all over us. He's going to make several plays.
It's one of the things you say to your defense. You fly to the football when Kamara gets
exactly.
it. Everybody flies to the football and try to contain it.
I want 22 eyes on Alvin Kamara at all times. Second key, one of the big things that I believe that was that kind of hampered their offense and put them on made them struggle the way they did past recent weeks was the injury to Ted Ginn. Now that Ted Ginn's back, you need to make sure he doesn't go off, because he is their one deep threat that can stretch that field.
Absolutely.
All it takes is one Breeze bomb to Ted Ginn, and it's a completely different ball game. You have to make sure he does not beat you deep.
And how do you help that?
One play.
Yep. And how do you help that?
Pass rush.
Yep. You get after them. You got to help these young corners out in this football game. It's so important that 91, I hear his name 100 times.
Yep.
I need to hear Fletcher Cox so much that I can't deal with him anymore.
Yep.
Too much Fletch.
Yep. Exactly. And then my last key on offense this time, and it's a simple one we talked about earlier in the show. You cannot turn the ball over. This Saints offense they're not like the Chicago Bears defense. You turn the ball over twice on the Saints offense, they will make you pay. They will convert that into points. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. You can
every single all
10.
game.
You can guarantee at least 10 off of it.
Off
of two turnovers.
Yep. So you cannot do that. You cannot turn the ball over multiple times. I don't care if it's Nick Foles throwing interceptions or fumbling. I don't care if it's one of our skilled players fumbling. No one. You cannot turn the ball over. You cannot lose this turnover margin in this game and expect to beat the Saints in the Superdome.
It was going to tie right into what another key of mine was too. Is we got to win the turnover battle, and this defense has got to catch the football. And maybe a strip sack, things like that. You got to put us in good field position, because I think there's going to be some scoring in this football game. You know what I mean?
Oh, there is.
I think teams are going to get their points. I'm excited for it, but yeah, I think you got to. To me, you got to create 2 this weekend.
Yes.
And not turn the football over at all.
Yep.
You have to create 2. They have none, and that's how you can go in there and steal one here.
You can.
Yep.
Yeah. You're going to have to create turnovers, and you're going to have to do it in a way, because it's not like Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell, he threw a bunch of questionable passes that should have, he's
a questionable guy.
Yeah, as a passer, you're not going to get those freebies. You're not going to get that amount of freebies from Drew Brees.
Well, you can.
No, what I'm saying is they're not going to be at the same rate as Trubisky was. They're good. They might, as opposed to where Trubisky threw 5 interceptable passes this past game around there. Drew Brees might throw you 2 or 3. You have to capitalize on those chances.
Oh yeah.
Because if you don't capitalize, you might not see it another chance.
Well, my point is, if you're hitting him even more, and you're hitting as much as I wanted him to be hit, and not in a hurt way, just get him on the turf.
Yeah.
If you're hitting him as much as I think you can hit him, you might be able to get that many. Mm-hmm. Now, realistically, do you usually get that many? No. But if you put enough pressure on him, you can get that many. So it's really – I'm looking forward to that matchup, right in the trenches. When I watch games, I start with the trenches, especially on the defense side of the football.
Yep.
Offense side of football, I like to see where guys are set up at, and I like to watch the quarterback on what he does and his decision-making. But defense side of football, I watch the line, and I want to see who's beating who off the line.
Yeah.
We got to fucking smoke them off the line. Yes. I've never been more, adamant about one specific thing in a game ever.
This is where the Saints the Saints have a great offensive line. So if this defensive line really wants to make a statement and show that they are the elite defensive line in the league, they got to do it. They've got to get consistent pressure with against that O-line. They have to. Absolutely have to. If Cox, you want to earn your contract, you want to prove to everyone that you were worth it,
Yep.
you go make your money this game. This is the game.
We were saying it last year in the parking lot at the tailgate before the game. You know, Fletcher Cox, I want to hear your name 100 times. I don't want to stop hearing your name. On the guy, the PA announcer, Fletcher Cox is the tackle. Fletcher Cox is the sack. I just want to constantly hear you. Light things up, make things uncomfortable for Drew Brees. The same way you made it uncomfortable for Jared Goff. The way they went into L.A. and made Jared Goff uncomfortable from Jump Street. It didn't start in the second half. He was uncomfortable from the first snap on because you got hit. Even if the ball's out of your hand, you put a guy on the turf enough, veteran or not.
He's seeing ghosts.
He's going to see it.
Yep.
It was the Peyton Manning effect.
Absolutely.
The only way you're going to beat Peyton Manning is if you knock him the fuck around. If not, he's going to light you up.
Yep.
And you're going to get the same thing this week.
Yeah. Zach Boylan made a good comment. What Bradham and Malcolm did against Cohen last week, they need to do against Kamara this week.
Yep.
Malcolm is another name. I left him out, but he absolutely will have a key role in containing Kamara.
He better.
So he's gonna have to.
Listen, he's the one who was all upset. He's one of the ones that was all upset.
So
hey,
come and play, Malcolm.
Okay,
use it.
You're all butthurt over running up scores. Well, listen, stop people then. So this week you have an opportunity. We always talk about this, right? Now this week you now have another opportunity. It's great about sports, right? That 48-7 means nothing. You go in and win this football game. It means nothing. It's over with. So you can respond to it.
So what I found while you guys were talking, I went back and looked at Drew Brees and his entire season through stats, and I know stats only.
They tell enough.
Well, so I was looking at how many interceptions he's had all season. He's only had 5, so I'm like, that's not great.
Yeah, but how many over the last 4 weeks?
So I looked at when it happened. 4 out of the last 5 weeks, and in those 4 straight weeks, he's thrown an interception.
Yep.
That's a streak.
Hasn't played as well. It's trend.
Yeah.
And then I'm not a big stat guy, but his rating 2 games ago was 69.1, 71.6. 2 games before that, so
he's always been a streaky guy. I would like to knock that smug fucking grin off Sean Payton's face this weekend too.
I'm not a fan.
But I mean, I love Brees. Brees is great.
Yeah,
but again, if he's older, and for the older guys even more so, if you put the pressure on and beat him up, that's why I would love to see some early blitzes. But like we were talking about, not just I know who's coming. Maybe disguise some things. Show early, drop out. You want my score before I roll?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give it freaking 20 times this week. I feel like, but that's great. It's tough on Tuesdays.
That's why we don't do a lot of them, but it's a playoff, so why the hell not?
My first gut was like 28-27, us. But see, I think if it gets in the 30s, that worries me. You know what I mean? I don't know. I know Nick can sling it in a dome. I don't know if I want this game to get into the 30s. I don't know if I want to get shootout-ish. So I'm gonna say 28-27. Because I think you have to hold them under 30.
Yeah.
I think that's a number. Hold them under 30, you win this game. So, I mean, I could go 30-28, but that's a weird score. 28-27 is a little bit better. They missed a kick at some point, and we score a late touchdown to win it. And then it's just, the thing's going to be this freaking big. You thought the thing was big? You thought the 11-inch was, or the 9-inch was big now?
Bigger.
Hey, it's gigantic.
Oh, God.
Gigantic. I'm telling you.
Drive. Oh, my God.
Listen, you can tell me the Saints roll us. I'm going to tell you you're wrong. You can tell me that you have the almanac in Back to the Future. You can have the almanac and be like, hey, Tom, I got the almanac of the future here.
Nope.
And the Saints are going to win the opposite of your score. And I'm going to tell you you're wrong. Absolutely wrong.
Yep. So I'll give my score in the second half of the show. Give you guys something to look forward to, along with Chrome, who will be joining us at the top of the second half. But Tommy, thank you for keeping me company today.
Absolutely.
Appreciate not
I'm a great
leaving by myself.
I'm a phenomenal teammate.
Of course. You're the big guy.
This is like, I don't want to leave a guy. Like, not that Rye can't talk, but he's behind the scenes.
No one sees me.
I didn't want to leave you in the middle chair
like so many times.
Yeah.
I think I have the record already on A2D for most shows by myself, where I'm the only one on the couches. But again, thank you, Tom. Thank you for
Kyle's close.
I was just saying.
Do we count him though? To be honest.
But you can always just go around to the fam and invite fam in.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I do.
So thanks to Gibson Mayer, our certified public accountant. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com, and to Specialized Physical Therapy LLC for our first half of the show. Kansas Sports for sponsoring our poll question for the first half. In the second half, guys, again, we will have Chrome calling in. for the top at the top of the second half. So I won't be completely by myself again. He'll be here, so stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. This is Birds of a Feather, live from the Real Talk Studios. Don't go anywhere. Come back. Follow the link at the top of the comment section on Facebook. We'll see you in about 5-10 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, Birds of a Feather, live on A2D Radio at the Real Talk Studios. Our second half brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com, and by Specialized Physical Therapy LLC, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Our poll question, again, if you missed the first half, was what is the main reason for the Eagles' current winning streak? Is it the coaching, the overall improved team play, or is it a higher power like God or something as the main factor in the Eagles' winning streak? So let us know in the comment section. We're over on YouTube now, so all my YouTube people, what's going on? Comment as usual, chime in. But as you can tell, Tom is no longer here. But we were having our usual co-host call in. You know him very, very well. It's my good friend, my old friend. That is Heel Chrome, Mike Chromiak. Can you hear me, Chrome?
Yeah, what's up, fellas?
What's good, man? Mr. Sick Boy over here. Let everyone know.
I'm good to go.
Let everyone know. He got on me like 2 weekends ago for being sick and saying I was a big baby. But now the tables have turned, and now he's the one that's out with his sickness. But in all seriousness, I hope you feel better, man. It sucks not having you on, but hopefully you do get better soon, so you'll be ready for this weekend. What's going on?
Not much, man. Listen, I've been sick for like 6 days. I'm quarantined. Tom told me if I even sniffed the door, I was fired. So I couldn't be there if I wanted to, but I'm looking forward. I like we said earlier, I wanted to call in. Huge game this week. We had to have a conversation. So here I am.
Absolutely, absolutely. Didn't want to have you have to go another week, especially since we haven't had a show, me and you, for like 3 weeks since before Christmas.
Since
and I was telling
last
Brodo
year.
since last year, and I was telling Brodo like, man, like we're lucky. The Eagles are still playing. Like we weren't sure a few weeks ago if our next show would be during Eagles still playing around during the playoffs, but we're fortunate. So definitely wanted to get you on in some capacity.
No, and it's great too because I think the last time we had a show, we were jokingly previewing Eagles and Bears.
We absolutely would.
Before it didn't even look like we had a chance to get in. So,
yeah.
I mean, listen, the irony of how things play out and what a week it was for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Tom and I went through, our reaction and everything to the Eagles-Bears game. We also did a little bit of a preview of the Saints matchup. So why don't you go ahead and give us your reaction, your thoughts about the win, the dramatic win. I know you were at the bar, our usual bar spot. I wasn't able to make it there, but I know you toughed it out even though you were sick still, and you made it out there, and I know it was, as usual, a great environment. So what was your reaction to the game as you were watching it there, and what were your thoughts? And please talk about your reaction to that double doink at the end of the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, probably wasn't the smartest choice to go to the bar. I thought I was on the road to recovery. Little did I know it was just a nice little lull before I felt like trash the next day. But I digress. No, it was, listen, I mean, it was an amazing game. It was a great game. The defensive matchup in this game on both sides was really great. When I look at the first half, and I think Nicky played a great game in terms of when we needed to make plays, he made plays. They moved the football pretty well. But I look at the first half, and the game could have been a lot more secured a lot earlier. I look at that he kind of cost us 10 to 14 points. He threw that pick on our end of the field. I don't know if we were around maybe the 35-yard line, 25-yard, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But then that pick in the end zone was really, really tough. And, I listened to you guys talking about it, and you're right. When you talk playoff football and you talk about playing the number one defense in the league, turnovers in the playoffs absolutely kill you. But they managed to find a way to grind it out. And in terms of the poll question for me, there's a couple options here, but I got to go with the coaching and the defensive side. They have really stepped up, and Schwartz has definitely saved his job for me. Jury's still out on Mike Rowe, but Schwartz has done a fantastic job. And I think what he's done that we were so critical of is he's simplified the defense And what we always say is he almost has a little bit of that Chip Kelly stubbornness to where his scheme's going to work even without the right personnel. But it seems that he has made tweaks and concessions to his defense to fit the talents of the guys on the field. And I think that the results are showing. I mean, you have seeing what Avonte Maddox is doing out there, seeing how, LeBlanc has stepped up, seeing the turnaround that Rasul has had over the last 5 weeks. It's astounding to see. I mean, this might be the best stretch of tackling over a 4 or 5 game period that I've seen from an Eagles defensive secondary since you had Lito Shepherd and Sheldon Brown.
Absolutely.
And we're talking third and fourth and fifth string guys off practice squads, guys who, they're in there and you can see it. They have an axe to grind. They have a job to compete for, not just now, but going into next year. And I'm loving seeing that. So to me, I mean, you could give it to the defensive backs, but the big difference for me has really been the coaching on the defensive end. And I got to tip my hat to Schwartz. It's something that we didn't know if we could expect him to be able to put his ego aside and kind of make those adjustments, but he has.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about that in the first half, how all those adjustments have made such a huge impact on the back end and the overall level of play. And I think something that I didn't get to talk about much in the first half, and it's not something I want to harp on, but you definitely made a good point in how Nick Foles, it kind of did cost us 10 points at least, or something like that. Like I'd say 10 points.
It's 10 to 14 points at least.
Absolutely. I think, I don't want to bash on Foles because he absolutely came back and had a good second half. And when it mattered most, he came through in the clutch like he has been. And that's all we could ask of him to do is to come up when it matters most. But, if you want something that has, and I talk to you guys all, about it all the time, something that kind of grinds my gears is this talk in the media and amongst everyone that this is all about Foles, when it's as much about everyone else as it is about Foles, because you can argue that this was probably Foles' worst game of this season, or at least it's up there as one of his worst games. He just he made some impressive throws in the first half, and the one throw to Tate across the middle where he lofted up, that was absolutely insane. But then he also unbelievable, but he also made some questionable decisions, and those those 2 interceptions. The one was, I guess you could argue was ticky-tacky. To me, it's still bad ball placement because you got to lead Smallwood out a little farther out from the linebacker and not give Roquan Smith the opportunity to steal that. So that's still on Foles. But that second interception was absolutely just egregious of throwing it up there. So you can't have that type of play from your quarterback if you're going to expect to go into the Saints game and win it, because like I was telling Tom, you turn it over twice against the Saints, they're going to score. They are absolutely going to score. So that's a good point you brought up there.
No, and to your point, you made a great point because the benefit we did have, as great as that Bears defense is and tough it is to score, it's I like Mitch, and I will argue this, and I know there was a little bit of Mitch hating in the first half, and at points justifiably so, but it's a young quarterback in his first playoff game. He didn't have his, they didn't know until the day of that Trey Burton wasn't going to be playing his number 1 tight end, and that's a weapon for him to not have. But I felt like in the clutch, when they needed him to make passes, he showed that he can grind it out, and he has the guts to take the team down the field and put them in a position to win. So I think coming out of this, although they didn't light up the scoreboard, I thought this reflected very well on Mitch Trubisky. I didn't see a whole lot of negative. Now, again, like we said, did he light the world on fire? No, but he made plays, and nobody, you can't take that away from him. But you can't, you make mistakes against the Saints, there is a whole lot of firepower on that team.
Oh yeah,
and you can't go in there expecting that you're going to be able to come back again and make 2 or 3 interceptions or 2 interceptions and a fumble and be able to counterbalance that, because I just don't have the faith in our offensive coordinator to be able to scheme enough for us to overcome that.
Yeah,
It's that
absolutely.
simple for me.
I think Brodo definitely has a counteract to your Mitchell Trubisky point.
Well,
Oh, everybody does. You all hate him.
no. Well, Crumb.
I didn't say anything. I'm letting Brodo speak first, and then I'll give my opinion.
And I wasn't going to come after Chrome. I mean, because number one, I knew we were going to get it. I knew he was going to say that. Going back to, I think it was the night. It was like the same night of the game, and obviously the group chat that all four of us, including Tom, are in. Chrome, I just want to ask you this before I continue. You said something in there saying that your boy Mitch had a quote great game. Do you still buy into that he had a great performance?
I think for his first playoff appearance, I do, because I don't think he did anything to cost them. As a young, and then when it came down to the point where they needed a drive and he needed to make plays. You talk about that pass that he made on that final drive.
That wasn't an impressive pass. It was an impressive pass.
He put that ball on the back shoulder. I mean, like a seam. It was beautifully passed.
In between the corner and the safety, yeah.
I mean, I really can't. Maybe I over-exaggerated it in a sense of an overall game perspective, but in hindsight, no, I still think for his first time out there, he did nothing to cost that team. And, he made plays down the stretch. He put them in a position to win. We just made the play at the end of the game with, if you want to say that the tip did or did not factor in. I think that it did, because when you talk about a kick that goes off of one upright, comes down and hits a crossbar, even the littlest point of the tip of your pinky can it deflects that ball. It's a game of inches. Mm-hmm. And that could have been the difference between the ball bouncing in and balls bouncing out. So, I think we made the play that needed to happen at the end. But, was it a great game? No, I thought it was a really, really good performance for him, a great stepping stone to grow for him going forward.
Well, I mean, I'll say this, all right? And the points you made in there, I agree with some of them. I think most of them are accurate. The one thing I disagree with, and this is why, for example, and there's other reasons why, this is why I compare Mitchell Trubisky. I said he's a lot like Dak Prescott, because Mitchell Trubisky / Dak Prescott, he can have three brutal quarters and play awful, which Mitchell did. And just because he didn't technically throw any interceptions, which he didn't technically, there were three balls that should have been grabbed. But I'm not going to do the whole woulda, coulda, shoulda game, because that's going to get the conversation nowhere. It comes down to this, and the reason why I don't even put it as great or very good performance, and I understand the kid's young. Listen, he's a second-year quarterback. A guy like Trey Burton is the go-to guy for him, so that all plays a factor in it. But I look at this big thing, and this is what cost them this. He was 0-3 in the red zone at home. We can't do that against a team like us. When Nick Foles played awful until the final drive, things like that, I'm not even saying if he would have gone 1 for 3, I was going after him. No. If you get into the end zone once in those three opportunities, then it's a different conversation. But to go 0-3 when you could have had sole control of that game late, that's just unacceptable to me. I don't care if it's a rookie or it's a guy who's been in the league for 15 years. There's just certain things that come into play that do cost teams games. That's turnovers, and that's an example of this.
I can understand that argument a little bit, but again, on the other side, you can make the argument that wouldn't have been a factor if Nick Foles didn't throw those 2 picks, because we would have had a sizable lead at that point. That really wouldn't have been that much of a big of a difference. I mean, we got guys like Eli Manning who have basically built a career off of sucking for 2 or 3 quarters of every game pretty much, and then being a clutch fourth quarter guy. And I'm not putting him in that category yet. I do agree with you. And, I look at him on the Dak level now. I think he has a higher upside.
Look, I agree with that.
I agree with that. He's in a better position with a better team, with a better system around him to develop into a better quarterback than what a Dak Prescott is. Do I think he's a top 10 quarterback, or will he ever be? Probably not. Do I think he could be the 10 to 15? Yeah, I think he could be. I don't think Dak will ever go above 15 to 20. So, again, I'm looking at it from a perspective of, I'm looking to see, can this kid grow? Can he be clutch for them going forward? I think that he could, especially when you talk about that first game this season where they played Green Bay. And, I mean, they had the lead. And really, he did not make plays down the stretch there. Green Bay came back in that first game of the season and really, I mean, they really took over and a game that he should have been able to close out. I think it showed a lot of growth for him from the start of the year to now.
I think, yeah, so from my opinion for Trubisky, you guys know that I see him, he's never going to be a passer. Like, he's never going to be that type of pocket passer that can tear defenses apart from the pocket. That's just not him. He's an athlete. He's a runner who can throw the ball. That there's a difference. I think that in a way I agree with both of you. Like, there are what the offense is and what Trubisky does and what he did, in the game against the Eagles is what it is. He made simple. He was required to just make simple reads and just throw the ball off those simple reads. And he wasn't asked to do anything crazy or complicated. And there were throws, like I said, at the end of the first half of the show, there were several. Even though there were 3 catchable interceptions, there were still a lot more from what I saw. There were still a lot more interceptable balls that he threw that maybe not all of us can recall. Like, there was one where he was trying to hit, I think, Tariq Cohen out in the flat, I think, and the ball was so poorly placed that Rasul Douglas couldn't make an interception on it. If it was so it lucked out in the fact that he threw such a bad ball that it didn't result in a pick. Whereas if he was actually like a good quarterback and made that decision through a catchable ball, it would have been picked off. It's one of those things where it kind of worked out that he was bad. And sometimes it happens. But I think where I kind of agree with you, Chrome, is the fact that you look for signs and you look for, okay, like, what did he do to give you hope that he can have a better, future and improve. And I think late in the game when he was asked to drive down the field, I mean, they had great field position to start with, but he still had to have that one throw to get them into field goal range. And he absolutely did that. Like, that last throw was an absolute dime. That was a great pass right in between that soft spot in the zone, in between the corner and the safety. And you can't pass it better than what he did on that play. And so, then there are things where, he didn't run. The Eagles' defense kept him in check in terms of the running game. And that's where he does his most damage is running the ball. But we kept him in check in that game. The fact that he was still able to make some sort of impact positively, even without the running game, I think shows a little bit of hope in the fact that, okay, even when the running game's not there, he can still make enough plays here and there to have some type of impact on the game for the offense. So I think those are good signs for Trubisky going forward. He still has a lot to work on, but
Sure.
I mean, yeah, I think that I agree. There were things there during that game where you're like, okay, Trubisky, good job.
You know what it is, guys, to be completely honest with you, and I'll just leave it at this, at least for me. Guys like Prescott and Trubisky, which I'll categorize them, and to Chrome's point from earlier, I do believe Mitchell can get better, compared to Prescott, clearly. I mean, he's a second overall pick, you know what I mean? Dak Prescott's a 4th-round pick. But guys like that need everything around them to be perfect. A guy like Mitchell Trubisky needs their defense to be as great as it was. Needs a guy like Tariq Cohen, who is one of the most unpredictable backs in the league, to be running aside of him, to really be commanding that offense. Somebody that small, but he is the life of that offense. To have an Allen Robinson who's not great, but he's good enough. To have a Jordan Howard who's not great, but he's good enough.
Tariq Cohen.
And have a great young head coach, obviously, in Nagy. We all agree that offense this year was based off of smoke and mirrors, trick plays, things that we've never seen in the NFL before. And Mitchell Trubisky is athletic, and he's as smart. I mean, the mind of Trubisky, I never question. It's just about the overall talent that I just don't think is there. And as you guys both know, and for anybody who doesn't know at home, the reason why I'm so much of a hater of Trubisky, I guess, it's because look at the 2 guys that he was drafted above, Watson and Mahomes. That will always be a mistake in the Chicago Bears' part. Yeah. Imagine Mahomes
and they traded up too
with that defense. Yes, for example, imagine if that's Mahomes in this spot. they're going to the Super Bowl. They might be 16-0 with that defense and Mahomes.
Yeah.
You understand? So that's the reason why I'm always very critical of Trubisky, because he's just never going to be good enough compared to those two.
No, and I understand that point, but I can't hold that against him. If you want to hold that against the Bears, that's a whole different conversation. I agree with you, but they have the confidence that he's their guy, and they have to work with where he's at. He's a project. I'm not going to deny that, but I guess I see more talent in him, the ability to grow, even with him being a project, and maybe he's still 2, 3, 4 years away from really hitting that stride to where he'll be a top 10 guy or a 10 or 12 guy. But I'm not going to fault him because the organization didn't pick the two better quarterbacks than that. He's picked where he's picked, and that's kind of just how it goes for him.
Oh no, I don't blame him for a second. I'm just saying I'm always going to be more critical of a guy who's picked number 2.
I get it.
That's all I'm saying.
I get it. I totally understand that. I give the kid the benefit of the doubt. And again, in the end of the day, we saw what happened the first game against Green Bay. And to me, in this game, he's shown the growth. In a much bigger game, having to come up big down the stretch, he did what was needed to be done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I give him a lot of credit for that. And now he's just got to come back next year and show that he's going to continue that growth.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Absolutely. What was your thoughts, your emotions as the field goal attempt after the Trubisky wonderful pass? That field goal attempt went up and double-doinked. What was your thoughts and your reaction? I know we saw videos, but tell the listeners what you were going through.
Well, let me give you 2 quick things first. First of all, I did see in the chat that our old friend from when we first was on, Renee Ballard, is in there.
Yes,
I
she
gotta say
is.
what's up, Renee? We miss Renee. How are you? Glad to see you're back. And also to the rest of the YouTube fam, I apologize I'm not in the studio. But secondly, I had to mention Golden Tate because I know you guys talked about it. If you didn't, I was going to talk about it. That's the reason you give up a 3rd-round pick for a guy like Golden Tate. You're in the crunch time, a veteran guy, a guy who has won with great hands. I mean, first of all, we already talked about how amazing that pass across the middle of the field was and the hit that he took.
Oh,
I mean, hell, the defensive back took
phenomenal
longer to get up.
Phenomenal.
And I loved that little bit of, he's holding his side, then he just stops, does the first down, goes back to holding his side and walks away. I love that little bit of moxie in him. But, I mean, to have the faith in this guy and prove this is why you go out and you spend a 3rd-round pick to make a playoff run like this with a veteran like that in your lineup, I thought was really great. I think he should get a lot of credit. I feel like he's played a lot better over the last couple of weeks. They have game plan for him a lot better. So shout out to him. I thought that, to me, the trade is justified. It's done. It's good. As far as the reaction, it was crazy. When Doug called that timeout and essentially gave them no chance to stop the clock if they don't convert, kind of blew my mind a little bit because, if for some reason you're stopped, they're all the way on the end of the field. You got 3 timeouts. You could stop the clock and conceivably take a couple shots to the end zone.
I was pretty mad too. I was pretty mad when he called that timeout too.
Yeah, it was a head scratcher for me. So I was already kind of riding that, and that to me was, oh, here we go. This is like old Andy Reid clock management stuff kind of coming out. But I will say this: throughout this game, regardless, I even when the Bears, or even when we scored and the Bears got the great field position, I said the one thing I didn't think I'd be able to say this a couple weeks ago that I'm confident in is that this defense will be able to do what needs to be done. Now, I kind of felt that way going through the 4th quarter. I didn't worry about that. I just worried about us being able to score, which obviously Nick Foles stepped up and was able to do that. But when they set up for that kick, that the pass to get them those 2 final passes to put them in field goal range drove me up a wall a little bit. But when they froze the kick, I just had a feeling that there was a chance we were going to win this game. I don't know why. It's maybe because it's Cody Parkey. I don't know. But it was one of those things, it was like, it's not over yet. And Charles, you've been with me in that bar before, watching fourth quarters, especially this year, watching this team and just knowing that the game has slipped away. There was never a point where that game slipped away. Nobody in there felt that way. And, they froze him. And when he first made the kick, I saw it hit the upright, and I actually thought it went in.
Yeah,
and
I think we all,
Yeah, and I didn't even notice that it hit the crossbar. And I just, it was like a long delay from the refs, and then I saw them call it no good. And we just exploded, which you could see in the video there clearly. My friend decided to take a reaction video of the bar, which was a lot of fun. But then when they showed the replay, and it was John, our buddy John Miller, who's part of the fam, he chimes in sometimes in the chat. John said, that hit the crossbar too. And that's when I stopped and I looked and I like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, is there another explanation but Foles magic? And I'm not talking about Foles magic on the field. It's just for whatever reason, this guy bathes in like gold. His shit is gold when he takes a dump. It's like everything this guy does is perfection when it's this time of the year for some reason, or anything he's a part of. He doesn't even have to play perfectly. Anything he's a part of, it just seems to work out. And then obviously we heard about the tip as well, and it was just
crazy.
You think about, like, you have a tip ball that hits the upright, then hits the crossbar, then bounces out. Like, the odds of that is so unreasonable that it's like, it just blows your mind. Yep. And I got to tell you, I'm a steady-handed guy. I don't get too high or too low a lot of times. My hands were shaking from the adrenaline for 2 hours after the game. I couldn't calm down. It was crazy. It was one of the, the Super Bowl, the NFC Championship last year, obviously clearly are probably the two tops. But, and I think that we're in a good position going forward, and we'll talk about it. But I have to say, as far as an emotional outburst, this might be a top 3 to 5 of my lifetime in any sport that I've watched, where I came out of this and I was so happy coming out of it. It was just one of those great environments. And, being in a bar, it's amazing how a half an inch one way or the other. And I even said, like, for the bar, changes the difference. He misses that kick, everybody goes home. He makes that kick, everybody hung around for 4 more hours. Everyone's buying shots. I'm like, damn, great to be a bar owner, right? But it was an amazing moment. It was such a good time. We had guys that weren't even Eagles fans that were getting into it and wanted to see the Eagles win. One was a Pittsburgh fan, one was a Bengals fan. Hell, we even had a Giants fan
the
that
Bengals
said,
fan.
you know what? They're fun to watch, and because the Cowboys are still in it, we'd rather see the Eagles win.
The only time you'll see
we had a Giants fan that was even rooting for them to win the game.
The only time you'll see a Giants and Eagles fan come together is when the Cowboys are involved.
Yeah, it was crazy. So, it was an amazing environment, man, and I hope that the ride continues.
Definitely.
Well, it's crazy too, and we talked a little bit about this, at the very beginning of the show, but right before that kick, when Doug obviously called the timeout, in the time between the two kicks, something told, and at the end of games, obviously, I mean, you've seen videos of me at the end of games. I'm nuts. I'm calm on air, but I'm nuts during games. And something told me, grab your phone and hit record. Just something, and I don't do that ever.
Yeah.
Usually the phone's thrown halfway across the room. I can't find it. And I grabbed my phone and I recorded it. And when I'm literally watching the game through my phone, and I see it go doink, doink, and I just fell. I didn't go crazy. I just fell to the ground. I didn't know what to do. I didn't go nuts, just because all of the emotions, not only of this game, but the entire season. Mm-hmm. And as soon as that went doink, doink, and we moved on, it's like now it's real. Now we know that the tide has turned now. I'm right there with you, Chrome. Aside from the Super Bowl, obviously, and it's right there with the Jake Elliott kick. It's right there. It's right there.
That's a great comparison. One of the biggest emotional wins that I've ever enjoyed watching, and really, just to kind of add to it too, for me, what maybe made it that much better. We've talked about what signals a success for this season. Is it getting into the playoffs? Is it getting a playoff win? To me, coming off of a Super Bowl, seeing how this season was going, and seeing the way that they're now grinding, there's nobody that can say that this team did not have a successful bounce back year.
Agreed.
Yep.
I know they didn't win the division. That's fine. You don't need to. It's the NFL playoffs. There's 6 spots. You just got to get one of them, and anything can happen. And listen, as a 6th seed coming in, it's not always about how you started. It's not starting winning the first 12 or 13 games of the season. We watched what the Giants did in, I believe, 2011.
Yep, and
got
7.
hot at the right time. I think they
7-11.
went in as a 9-7 team, and they rolled to the Super Bowl.
Packers
It's
and
not
Steelers too.
out of the realm of possibility that this team can win going forward.
Yep. I think that for what that game, the ending of the game, it harkened me back to the 2013 playoffs, the 13-14 playoffs, Chip Kelly's first year, when we played against the Saints in the wild card round in Philly, and Foles and McCoy led the offense to a go-ahead touchdown late in the game. But then on the ensuing kickoff, kind of ironic, Darren Sproles ran the kickoff back to like the 50 or something like that. Had a big kickoff return, and then had there was a horse collar penalty on Kerry Williams, which got the Saints into field goal range, and they ended up kicking the game-winning field goal. And as Darren Sproles, as 2.0, as I like to call him, Tariq Cohen was running it back, I kept getting flashbacks of, oh my gosh, it's the Saints. It's that Saints game again. They're going to get into field goal range. They're going to win it. And then I was the same, and I said this already on the end of the first half. I was the same as you, Chrome. After it hit that upright, I wasn't sure if it went in. I was just staring at the ref. I did not see the ball. Like, logically, you would think you'd watch the ball to see where it's bouncing. But no, I was watching the ref the whole time, and it took me until the ref said no good for me to finally react, because I couldn't believe it. So it was just, I think that's why, and we talked about it earlier today. We were joking around on Facebook, me and you, Chrome, about, the A2D posted the Sheldon Brown hit, and then like, Chrome, I know you were like, no, it's bad karma, and I said, no, we make our own karma. I think the reason why I say that is because
I was saying that as a joke.
I know. That's what I'm saying. We're jokingly, but I think like
everybody's like, yeah. I'm like, yo, you guys remember we lost that
we lost the
right?
game.
Let's
I know.
Put that shit out there now.
But what the reason why I think that it's going to be so different now is because everything is just different. Like that, the way that Saints game played out all those years ago during the Chip Kelly era, and for the outcome to be different this time around, it's just that feeling of, I don't care what happened in the past. I honestly believe this team can go out and do it. We lost to the Saints in New Orleans back in 2006, 2007. But I don't think we're coming out of the Superdome this time with a loss. I really do think we're going to win. So I don't know. It's just this weird feeling you get. But
I mean, listen, the team that's going into New Orleans this week is a different team. It's a lot different. The secondary is totally different. And I mean, listen, we know we love our boys. We love Darby. We love Sidney Jones. We love Jalen Mills. When he's in the red zone anyway, we like Jalen Mills. But, we love these guys, and these guys were the guys, aside from Sidney, these were the guys that got us last year to the Super Bowl. But that being said, what I'm seeing from these kids that have stepped in, there's a different energy in that secondary. These guys have that kind of emotional level that you see from Malcolm Jenkins all the time. They are fired up. And now you're seeing guys like, I've heard you guys talking about Bradham. Bradham's playing with a different energy. Even Hicks seems to be stepping it up a little bit. I mean, this is a different team on the defensive end. The defensive line has been absolutely dominant over the last few weeks. And going in now with the offense, it's a totally different offense. It's a different quarterback. You have a Golden Tate now. You have other weapons out there, and it's a different mind frame. You're not game planning the same way. And listen, the Saints got a lot of injuries right now. They're dealing with injury issues as well.
Yep.
So, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to guarantee a victory. like I've heard some people say. And I'm what I'll say is I'll never bet against this team. Do I really? And in reality, I think we talked about this before the last game. I gave us next to no chance to win that game anyway. I didn't think we were going to get blown out like we did. Well, maybe I did because we made the joke that we would. But I don't look at this game as any kind of a walk in the park. And a couple mistakes on their end, you get to Drew Brees, you get him to make one or two mistakes and detain Kamara. It's a whole new ball game, and we can't beat ourselves. We can't turn the football over. Nick Foles needs to make good decisions with the football from the first quarter to the fourth quarter.
Absolutely. And I like I said in the first half, I think I totally agree. Those are my key points. I had said that containing Kamara, not getting beat with a deep ball with Ginn, who's back, and then not turning the ball over. Those are my three keys to the game. Do you want to give? I know we don't usually give score predictions because it's a Tuesday, but like I told Tom, it's a playoffs, so what the hell? I'm gonna give a score prediction. If you don't want to, Chrome, you don't have to. But my score prediction for this game, I'm gonna have the Eagles 27, the Saints 24, and my player of the game is on the offensive side of the ball is going to be Darren Sproles. And on the defensive side of the ball is going to be Malcolm Jenkins. The two former Saints, I think in their revenge game are going to have huge roles to play and huge games the upcoming Sunday.
I don't know that I want to give a score, just because I really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna sit here and say we're gonna win the game because I don't know that. I still think it's a big uphill battle. But what I will do is I will give who I think our players of the game or our key players are going to be.
Mm.
And for me, I do think that Dallas Goedert, I think we're going to build off of that. And I think you're going to see Dallas Goedert play a big role this week with the blocking. And I think that, he's going to make plays. We're going to need those guys who are going to get out there, not afraid to catch the ball and grind for those extra yards. And I think he's one of those guys. I feel like Dallas Goedert's going to be one of those guys who, because the attention's going to be so focused on a Zach Ertz and an Alshon Jeffrey, that he could end up being the big role player in this game. Defensively, I think that we need to win it at the line, and I feel like Fletcher Cox is going to have a monster game this week.
Mm.
Got to stop that run game.
Yep, absolutely. We have about 5 minutes. Do you want to stay on, Chrome, just as we finish off the show, or do you want to sign off?
Yeah.
You want to stay on? Okay.
So am I going to hop off for 5 minutes?
Yeah, I figured you want to stay on. I just had to make sure and ask. But before we get to No Huddle real quick, just a quick recap of Wild Card Weekend, the other games. Just like a thought or two. I think that I'll go in order. So that the Colts, Texans was, to me, that was predictable. I did predict the Colts to come out because I thought that Colts O-line was going to neutralize the front seven of the Texans. And I will say this, I know we are dangerous at the 6th seed. Look out for that 6th seed in the AFC in the Indianapolis Colts. I think they have what it takes to go all the way to the Super Bowl too. They are dangerous with that offensive line and with Andrew Luck and with Frank Reich. So they are very impressive to me. I think the Cowboys-Seahawks game, the Seahawks, they kept to what their formula of success was, and that was running. But I think when you realize, this is the detriment to Coach Carroll, where if he doesn't realize soon enough that run isn't working, him not adjusting when Russell Wilson is your quarterback and not throwing the ball more, that was a huge mistake, a lack of adjustment.
I think he coached them out of that win.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. So I think that game was on him not adjusting and choosing to stick to the run. And then finally the Chargers-Ravens game, I had picked the Ravens to win, but the reason why I picked them is because I did not expect them to go with the exact same game plan into that game as they did weeks ago against the Chargers. You don't think that the Chargers are going to study that game plan and be like, okay, this is what they did. We're going to learn off of it. It was the exact same game plan.
It looked like freaking Spygate again.
It was the same. They knew every single time.
Yeah.
Did you guys see like the one report from the Athletic where they found a tell in Ronnie Stanley, his foot and his how his feet were set. They could tell if it was a run or a pass. Like, you don't make any adjustments as the Ravens. Like, come on, Harbaugh. Like, you're a better coach than that. The fact that they went in with the same exact game plan, that you can't do that in today's NFL, especially in the playoffs. So I think that was we talk about Carroll coaching them out of that win. I think Harbaugh coached the Ravens out of the playoffs. I think they had the talent and the ability to win that game against the Chargers, but not when you stick to the same thing again, because teams will adjust the second time around. So I think that's what, with the Chargers moving on, they took advantage of the Ravens' lack of coaching. Chrome, any other thoughts on Wild Card Weekend?
No, I mean, listen, you covered pretty much the gamut there. I mean, again, I really wasn't surprised by that Colts game, and really of all the weekend, that was the only game that really wasn't super entertaining.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was a really exciting wild card weekend. Even Baltimore made a ball game of it down the stretch, though.
Yeah.
But, all I know is my preseason Super Bowl picks are still alive. I'm counting on it. Chargers, Eagles, let's go.
Chargers, Eagles. I would. It would be awesome to see Phillip Rivers and the Chargers go all the way too. Like, it's hard not to cheer for the Colts and the Chargers, just because of who they have, and I would love to see either one of those teams in the big dance. But I
agree.
I am also rooting for the Chiefs. Like, there are the Chiefs too. I wouldn't mind those three teams in the AFC making it. And the only time I wouldn't root for any one of them is if they're playing the Eagles. So, yeah. Berto, any thoughts on Wild Card Weekend?
No, I mean, you covered most of it. I thought it was very predictable. The biggest thing, going back to that Ravens game, for example, and the reason why I think Harbaugh was so kind of starstruck, it's because it was the first time all season that the opposing team figured them out.
Yeah.
It's the first time.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just because throughout the entire – and listen, Lamar Jackson, because I saw people booing him out of the building saying – listen, Ravens fans, and I understand you're upset. It looked like you were going to catch fire at the end of the season and go flying, and you very well could have, because I thought if they would have survived this game, they would have gone on and beaten the Patriots,
I think
eventually.
so, too.
So, but at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, Lamar Jackson's still a rookie. He is leaps. I was not a fan of Lamar Jackson coming in. I thought he was going to be somebody that would have to wait, a full year, and then maybe
or even more. Yeah.
Yes, and then maybe come in like next season at the halfway point or something. He's leaps and bounds farther ahead than we thought he was going to be at this point.
Uh-huh.
Do I think he's going to be a great quarterback? No, because I think his career is only going to be about 4 years. Mm-hmm. But looking at reports from the last few months since he's been in, apparently the whole plan with the Ravens is that they're going to be drafting kids like him every 3 or 4 years, and they're going to be continuing with that mold. And they're going to be using a guy like RG3 as a mentor, which I think is really smart. RG3. And you guys know I'm like I think I'm like the last RG3 fan. I don't even know if that exists anymore because he's like doesn't play.
He did look impressive in the preseason. So
listen, man, I think he could still play a little bit, but
he absolutely can.
I agree.
He absolutely can.
Absolutely
I'd rather have RG3 over Blake Bortles.
I'll take him over Eli. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But at the end of the day, hell, I'll take him over Jameis, for example. You know what I'm saying? But getting a guy like that in there for Lamar was huge for him. Uh-huh. Because you see how RG3 talks to him on the sidelines. And if he's talking to him like that on the sidelines, he's communicating with him all the time outside of the field.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge. But no, this week's of games is going to – I mean, it's crazy to say, but it's going to decide it all because if the Saints get knocked out and the Pats get knocked out, anything's possible. Anything's possible because those are the two that are like, you look at the quarterbacks, experience, the organization – I think there's a good chance they're both gone.
They're both gone, and then it's a new ball game.
Yep.
No, I hear you.
Yep.
I hear you.
I don't think the Patriots get past this week.
I don't think so either.
Well, the one thing that they have on their side to a degree, it's supposed to be really cold and snowing. So we all know about LA teams going, and playing.
Yeah.
But let's not act like the snow's going to make it easy for any team.
And the
snow is snow.
And the Chargers have a defense. They have a defense.
Yep.
I think the big thing with the Chargers, though, I don't know if Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler, who are big parts of their offense, are the same. They've been hurt.
Yeah.
So if they're not 100%, that's a lot more pressure on Rivers. So
Gordon hurt his other knee.
Yeah.
He has both
So
two knees.
oh my gosh, like
he's gonna end up having surgery, by the way.
I know. But it should be very entertaining. I think the Chargers still could win it, so we'll see.
I have to say, Joe D's comment just made me laugh. If ISIS had a football team, I'd absolutely root for them over.
Oh my god. Oh Jesus Christ.
Well, no, I'll wait until no huddle. What am I doing?
Well, I was going to get into the huddle now, yeah.
I'll just throw mine in there really quick. It's based off of something that happened, in the last hour or so, and I didn't get a chance to watch the game. I definitely will when I get home, though.
Okay.
Kudos to the one, the only, Mr. Landry Shamet tonight. Had a hell of a performance. He had a career-high 29 points tonight.
Oh, shoot.
Nice.
Career-high 8 threes.
8 threes?
8 threes.
I love Landry so much,
Wow.
dude. What a young talent this kid is,
Nice.
dude. This kid takes no plays off.
No.
None.
This is a kid, and I know on the surface it's probably going to sound crazy to the big Sixers fans. So we've been talking a while, on a lot of the shows about J.J. Redick, the contract going, into next year. Listen, I love J.J. Redick. I'm not saying I would ship him out, immediately, but Landry's somebody that through 1 year, not even 1 year, has the tools to be not the next Redick, but somebody who can come in and replace him.
Fill his role.
And then put money elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's huge for a guy to come in under the radar. We picked him at 26. I mean, God, this kid could be a legit starter in the next handful of years, which is crazy, and it's great. It's great.
Awesome. That's good to see. For my no huddle, I'm going to talk real quick about the coaching hires that have happened. You're talking about for the Packers, we had Matt LaFleur. We had the offensive coordinator for the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
We had Arizona picking up what's his name from college?
Kirk Kingsbury.
And then we had the Bucks picking up the big name Bruce Arians.
In a trade.
Yeah, was it a trade?
It was a trade.
It was a trade
Because
okay.
they're technically still paying Arians because of the retirement clause.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the quick story behind that, the league gave them approval, and then after the Cardinals said, "Well, wait, we still have his rights." So they actually could have. From what I read, they probably could have got him for nothing because the league signed off on it, but they didn't want to have an argument back and forth. So the amicable thing they did was they gave up a 6th round pick for Arians and a 7th round pick.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, which is almost nothing, but I think with my quick thoughts, the Packers one kind of befuddles me in the sense that I think it's a few years early. Their mindset was right. You want to get a guy who is a good offensive mind who can finally give Aaron Rodgers some help scheme-wise. The thing is with Matt LaFleur, even though he comes from the tree of the Shanahans and Sean McVays, he's along that same tree. He's not. I think, and if you watch the Titans' offense, the passing offense this year, his offense wasn't developed yet. He's someone who, in my opinion, needed a few more years to grow as a coordinator before he would have landed a head coaching job. So to me, it's a little early. Maybe the Packers just want to get him in here to have him grow with Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is, in his last few years in the league. So I guess in that way I can understand it, but that's the questionable part to me about that hire. I don't know a lot about that Kingsbury dude because, he came from college. I know that, Ryan, you said that he was the offensive coordinator for USC.
Well, I'll just give a brief bio on him. Basically, he was the head coach of Texas Tech when Patrick Mahomes was there. He did nothing in that conference, so he wasn't able to win with Patrick Mahomes. Then back in December, he was fired from Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Then he was hired at USC as their offensive coordinator in December, and now he bounced. He's bounced to
How was
the
he? How
Cardinals.
was the offense in USC?
Well, he didn't really get a chance to do anything.
Oh, okay.
It was at the very end of the season. It was basically as next year he agreed to it, and then he.
So
bounced.
he's a big question mark. So he's a huge question mark.
I don't understand. Again, the Matt LaFleur thing, I understand because apparently he worked with, I think it was Andrew Luck. He worked with one of the bigger quarterbacks, so like he knows how to work with bigger quarterbacks. But I don't that hiring and the Arizona Cardinals hiring seems like a rush job to me.
Yeah,
because they're trying to get young guys, the next McVay, all that stuff. And Chucks, we talked before the show, and Chrome, I want to get your opinion on this. With the whole Bruce Arians thing, okay, it makes sense for the Bucs. Obviously, Bruce Arians, a lot of years in this league, experience, all that. But it's a question mark for me as to why Arians would want to go there when the organization has come out and said over the last month that they plan on bringing Winston back. Why do you come out of retirement when you're very, very open and say, hey, I want to go to the Browns to work with Baker Mayfield? He said that. Why would you not go there, but instead go and want to work with Jameis freaking Winston?
I think it's because, and I'll get to you after, Chrome, I'll get to you after, but I think it's because outside of Jameis, that roster they have a lot of talent on that roster. And I think that if anyone's going to get anything out of Jameis Winston, Bruce Arians is one of the guys that can. So if he can't work with Arians, then he can't work with anyone else. And I think that Arians also is looking at it like, if Winston doesn't work out, I'll just get my own guy. So and he has the team around to have a young quarterback flourish. So I think that was his mindset in saying that like it's not like this team is a dumpster fire right now. They have talent on the roster. It's just about deciding who the quarterback is. Chrome.
Yeah, I mean, I think you touched on a lot of really good things there. I mean, I am shocked that he didn't wait out for the Browns job. But maybe he has indication. I've been saying I think that Mike McCarthy's going to end up in Cleveland. So maybe he has an inclination that that's not going to happen. It seems like his coaching staff's already in place. Ty Bowles is the defensive coordinator already.
Oh, wow.
I believe Byron Leftwich, he's brought him along with him from Arizona.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I think there was another coaching hire. So, maybe it was a case of, hey, listen, I'll come in and I'll coach your team, but I want to be able to put my system in place with my guys. And if you have any issues with that, then I'm fine with not. And maybe they conceded to that. I don't know. But, I think it's a good hire for them. I think that, Chuck's talked about it. He's a guy's been in the league for a long time. And I don't really think he was put in a position to succeed in Arizona. So I'll be interested to see what we get from him there and see if he can squeeze anything out of Jameis. I think Jameis stinks. I do too. I think he's gonna have a really short leash next year. But he'll definitely get the opportunity to win that job. And if Bruce Arians can't get it out of him, see you later, pal.
Well, see, I agree with a lot of what you said, Chrome, but this is why I question a lot with Tampa, for example. And real quick, while you said the Browns, I'm hearing that it could be Freddie Kitchens, who's their offensive coordinator in Cleveland. Apparently, he looks like he's going to get the job in Cleveland. And if that's the case, I've been saying for like 2 months, I think McCarthy's going Jets to work with Darnold.
Okay.
But to get back to Tampa real quick, so Winston is owed a contract. He's up. The contract's up. I don't know how you can, and unless he's going to agree to like a 1-year deal or something, or like a franchise thing, which I don't even know if a franchise would work with a guy like Jameis. If we were going into this year where he had 1 more year left on his deal, the short leash I completely agree with. But it falls into the Blake Bortles thing from last year. It's that if you extend him, I don't know if you can have a short leash. And Chrome, I understand exactly what you're saying. Your mindset is 100% correct because you're thinking wisely with this. Tampa's not, because they've screwed this all up with the years. If you're going to go and redo the entire coaching staff, you do it last season when you have 1 more year of the kid.
Yeah.
You don't do it when you have to decide right now if you're moving on or you're extending him for 2-3 years. Yeah. This is why it just doesn't look good. Unless Arians has said straight up in the coaching interview, which Chucks, you and I talked about a little bit, pre-show, unless he said, listen, we can keep Jameis, but I want to try and get Foles. That
Yeah.
makes more sense to where
me
Arians
ask
goes
you-
there and they get Foles.
Yeah.
I mean, but they haven't actually extended Jameis, correct?
No, they have not done it, but they've expressed. I mean, they've said everything other than officially said that Jameis will be back.
Yeah, but my thing is that was before, from what I recall, Bruce Arians actually being in the mix.
Correct.
I'm not ruling it out the fact that now Bruce Arians is there. They
That
got it now.
changes.
Listen, that was the plan, but this is the system he wants to put in place, and Jameis Winston's not going to end up being a part. He's not going to be a fit for that.
That's possible.
Yeah,
That's
and
absolutely
I do
possible.
agree with that.
I would hope that, that's what happens. To be
Yeah.
honest.
I would hope that that's the route that they're going to go if Tampa Bay wants to succeed, because I agree with you guys. It makes no sense, and you're absolutely right, Brodo. The timing of everything has made zero sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, you guys know I was on here crucifying the Bucks for their flip-flopping of starters during the whole season. I felt with what had happened with Winston that you stick with Fitzpatrick the whole year and just let it be as it is, but they kept going back and forth and I was like, what the hell are you doing? So I would hope Chrome that you are right, that with now that Arians is there, that plan to bring Winston back changes, and that's now out the window. So I mean, but I guess we can only wait and see. I hate to see, because you guys know I'm a big fan of Chris Godwin. I think he has great wide receiver potential, and I think going into next year with Deshaun leaving, he'll finally have that chance to be that opposite of Mike Evans. I hate to see that type of talent wasted, because you have Mike Evans, you have Chris Godwin, you have other guys there that are very Cameron Braid and OJ Howard.
Yeah.
Like, you have so much talent there. To see that wasted with another year of Jameis Winston, I don't have patience for that.
Listen, if Arians came in that interview, and maybe this is what impressed them, and obviously he's not the GM, so I mean you have to work with the GM there. But if he went in and said, okay, if I'm going to work, my game plan, the first two moves I make is to contact the Eagles, figure out what they're doing with Foles, and then go get Le'Veon Bell. If they head into next season with Arians, Foles, Le'Veon Bell, and the guys they have in the receiving core, then I'm all right. Then I'm okay. Then we're making moves.
That we're doing.
But if it involves Jameis Winston the way it is, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's not working.
Yeah, I'm not a believer in Winston, so I
And
agree.
it just seemed like the whole Bruce Arians thing, and maybe unless I didn't follow closely enough, it just seems like Tampa Bay and him linked together came about pretty quick.
Yep.
Yeah,
From
yeah.
when
Out
it
of
was
nowhere.
reported to when it was done.
Yep.
Which leads me to believe that maybe the plan was Jameis Winston going forward. But then they realized, hey, we got a chance to get a Bruce Arians in here. And, he's a guy he's going to want to put his own personnel in place, which clearly he made evident by immediately when he was hired. His whole coaching staff is pretty much already hired as well. It definitely doesn't take out the possibility that the about face on Jameis. So let's hope.
Yeah, that's
for their sake.
definitely,
For their sake.
definitely. Chrome, did you have anything for No Huddle?
Yeah, I'm going to make it real quick. I mean, first of all, I know he's a Cowboy, but definitely well wishes on Alan Hearns and that
Yes.
graphic injury. And listen, good for him, and the fact that as bad as that looked, it was only a dislocation.
I know.
And it looks like he's going to be good to go by August. You don't want to see that stuff happen to anybody.
No.
Cowboy, Giant, Eagle, whoever it is.
Yeah.
So just a quick shout out to him, and then hopefully he has a good, speedy recovery. Other one, I know we aren't doing wrestling, but he transcends wrestling. Mean Gene Okerlund passed away.
Yep.
Yes.
Want to make sure I give a shout out for that. If you're anybody who grew up in the 80s and 90s, you know who Mean Gene Okerlund is, whether it was Hulk Hogan and Let Me Tell You Something, Mean Gene, or Ric Flair and Mean Gene, or the 900 hotline on WCW. He was just one of those guys, especially in the 80s. He was so synonymous even outside of that when wrestling was crossing into the sports realm and into, pop culture. He's synonymous with Cyndi Lauper and his interviews with Muhammad Ali and so many different people, Liberace, that, he's such a well-respected guy. People in wrestling, people in sports, people in the entertainment industry, a lot of well wishes and sharing memories. I was fortunate enough to get to meet him this year, and I'm really glad I did.
That's awesome.
And that's a story that maybe I'll save for when we come back at Lazy Booking at the last Thursday of January. But that was a cool experience. But very sad loss, especially if you're an 80s or 90s kid. So shout out to him for that as well.
Chrome.
And the very
Go ahead, Chrome.
okay. Oh no, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I'll tell you a quick story because I know I'll get a chuckle out of you because we make fun of me all the time on Thursdays because like the references back in the '80s and I'm like, well, what are we talking about?
Oh my god!
So the first exposure I got to Mean Gene was I'm sure you have because you're a wrestling nut like I am. Do you remember the old the WrestleMania anthology like DVD collectibles? They were in the sets of 5. So I remember I got them back in the day, and I was watching. I forget which WrestleMania it was. It'll probably pop up right in the middle, on the top of your head. But the first time I heard Mean Gene was when he called the gimmick Battle Royal.
Oh no, yeah, WrestleMania 17.
Yep. So that was the first time I caught. I didn't know who Mean Gene was before then, and looking back, and obviously, I didn't get a chance to see Andre. I didn't get a chance to see Warrior. All the greats. I never got to see live. I can go back in YouTube clips, and I've watched all of them. But I think we talked about this the last Lazy Booking, last year. But it's not the same. And the biggest regret that I have looking back, that I didn't get a chance to watch was Mean Gene Okerlund. The every week, the way he structured his segments, looking back on it was just sheer genius. And, somebody who, obviously we're, in the broadcasting biz, I guess you can call, just the appreciation I have for a guy that was so ahead of his time. And just no matter if you were the casual wrestling fan, if you were young, if you were watching the wrestling for 50 years, you always found him entertaining. And I thought there's just very few guys like him, not only in wrestling, but just on TV or, media in general.
In broadcasting in general.
Yes, that can pull something like that off. It didn't matter if he was on the screen with Hogan or Andre or the Sheik or, stuff now and, when he would make, pop-in appearances with, Punk or Daniel Bryan or, stuff he was doing later in his years. It's just the appreciation I have for that man can't be said with just words.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, and I know we're running tight on time, but I just want to add this in. You talk about when you remember them, and it's so interesting, and that's what's great about A2D is we are all kind of, there's a generational gap between us to where we have a lot of different ideas. I was talking to Andy from Jackson Ritz. I was talking to Ritz from Jackson Ritz in this very ring, which drops on Mondays. And when we were talking about it when Mean Gene passed away, for me, it was always, him and Hogan. And to me, he was synonymous with Hogan. And he said, oh, well, and this is the difference when me and him grew up. For him, it was Ric Flair because, he was with WWE from 84 to 93. And then he went to WCW from 93 or 94 to 2001 when they closed. And he was synonymous with that. And then I said to him, I actually remember what I remember mostly in WCW was the 900 hotline, which was always a punchline after that for years. And then you bring up, then his next step after that was the gimmick Battle Royal. And then all the stuff he's done for, the network and all the different content he's put out there. But it's interesting because, and again, was he a pro wrestling commentator? Absolutely he was. But in just in terms of broadcasting and interview style, and you talk about guys who have voices that are recognizable, like a Harry Callis, a Vince Scully, all these different people, Jack Buck, he's a guy who, again, you may not watch wrestling, but you hear that voice and you're like, Mean Gene Okerlund. Like he's a recognizable figure that transcended, pro wrestling and broadcasting, which, there's guys like Hogan and Flair that are like that. And John Cena would be a guy now, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. But for a broadcaster to hit that kind of a level, it's pretty astounding to think about, and the impact that he left beyond his own sport. Just people, he was known as a one-take guy, where he would do 7 hours of interviews back then when they would pre-tape it. And these guys would have no idea what they're talking about. And even Hogan said, when I would go in, I didn't have to know anything. I would just follow him. And every one of them always said they would follow him. And he would get them through and get the best out of them. That's what you do. That's your job as a commentator, as a broadcaster in any sport or sports entertainment or whatever it is that you do, entertainment. And There's not many that are like him, and there'll never be another one like him. So,
Absolutely.
shout out to Mean Gene. Rest in peace, brother.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, you guys know I don't my wrestling fan days are over with, but I remember him. I watched those in the '90s when I was a wrestling fan and I was a young kid, and it just to see him pass away. That's one of those losses where you're like, oh geez, like and everything you guys said, absolutely. He surpasses. He goes way past just wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
He was part of that big pop culture in the '90s, and
he was an icon.
yeah, he was an icon. So absolutely, rest in peace to him and all his family. Prayers out to them. Anything else, guys, before we wrap up?
I'm good, brother,
Good,
man.
guys.
Awesome. Well, Chrome, it was glad to have you for the second half. You know,
Yeah, man, I was happy to do it. I can't hear out of my left ear, and I got about 75% hearing in my right.
Well,
And I'm quarantined because Tom was going to kill me if I tried to show up.
now you
But
know
I
how
did.
I felt when I couldn't make the round table.
Oh, you were fine.
I know I was, but I was still quarantined.
A little bit. I'm over here. I got to stuff.
Oh,
my nose.
stop! It's not.
I got fucking-
I would have
I got
showed
ear
up, but I
infections.
was quarantined. I was
I'm on
blackballed.
antibiotics, and you're over here like, my leg's a little bit sore, but I'm okay.
Did I not say I would have showed up? I was still quarantined. I wasn't up to me. It
In
wasn't up
fairness,
to
I
me.
wouldn't have said anything and just showed up if I didn't see how Tom reacted to you just having a couple little butt cheek aches.
Oh
His
God,
leg is sore.
That's not. I had the flu. Okay, jeez.
I don't need to be there to bust balls, guys. I love you.
I love you too, Chrome. Well, guys, thank you for chiming in to this week's Birds of a Feather. We got the whole lineup back. I mean, I know we started yesterday with Sports Hound made their return to the A2D. Oh wait, hold on. Do we have one?
No, I'm just
Oh,
playing
I was
this.
about to
I'm just
say.
playing. I knew you were going to do that.
Why are you
too.
playing?
I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were going to do that.
You totally.
Oh
played
wait,
me.
Sweeps is chiming
Sweeps is
in the
chiming
final 2 seconds
Oh
of the show.
my God! But anyway, yeah, we had the Sports Hounds return. Yeah, last night. And also with you, as Chrome said, in this very ring on Mondays. Tomorrow we have the Fix. Is AM and the PM back tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
They are back as well. Hockey Happy Hour on Thursday night. Philly Sports Guys on Friday. The Hooligans on Saturday. And the Flagship Agree to Disagree on Sunday morning. Guys, get your A2D fix on this whole week. We will all be here. We want to give one more thanks to Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours, gibsonmayer.com. And thanks to Specialized Physical Therapy LLC. Find them in Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Again, also to Scanzano Sports for sponsoring our poll question. Guys, we are still alive. Get your bird on, double doink, enjoy it. We will see you in New Orleans, and hopefully, guys, we will be alive for another week. For myself, Chrome from his house, sick, and for Ryan, the bro, on the ones and twos. We wish you a good week, guys. Fly, Eagles, fly.